You're on. Good evening and welcome to the public hearing for the FY17 budget for the Georgetown School Committee. Today is Thursday, February 25th, 2016.
Thank you.
I'm happy to see everybody here. I appreciate the time that it's taken to get you out here away from your families, and I do appreciate you wanting to talk to us this evening about the budget. If anyone has not signed in, if you could please take the time to do that right now. Okay. And I am going to ask the public if they would like to talk to us about their issues, concerns, questions. And if you would like to come up and do that, and if you would just please state your name and your address. Anyone, any takers?
Michael, come up.
Come on up, Michael.
Hi, Mike. Hi, Mike.
So this is just to,
For those that don't know you, Michael.
I'm going to introduce myself.
Okay.
As always, thank you for the opportunity to speak. For those of you who I've not been formally introduced to, and the viewing audience at home, I'm Michael Murphy. This is my 15th year at Georgetown as a high school English teacher. This evening I'm speaking in the capacity of the GEA Vice President and Union for the Teachers. My purpose is to share district-wide teacher perspectives regarding the current budget proposals and possible pending cuts. I'd like to start by saying that the vast majority of our membership realizes that these budget decisions are a necessary evil and the decisions aren't personal. Job cuts are an annual reality within the private sector, and history tells us that there have been cycles within the public sector in which these unfortunate decisions must be made. The GEA has a very positive working relationship with the superintendent, so we're confident that the methods taken are in the best interest of the district, the community, and students. To reiterate what's been clearly established over the course of several school committee meetings, the town's budget crisis is not a spending issue. If this town wants a K-12, this is the price of doing business. The crux of this problem is that this town lacks the revenue. 10 years ago, NEASC, the New England Association of Schools and Colleges, conducted a study of the district, and one of the results was that Georgetown was to be placed on warning due to not having a significant revenue source. While I'm not a financial expert, a colleague made several significant points to me today concerning the current national economic climate versus the Georgetown forecast. There are several economic indicators, a drop in unemployment, low fuel prices, growing GDP, that should correlate to growth. We have these factors in our favor, yet still have a bleak economic outlook. And what does it say when these same factors turn against us? The town needs change. The town needs economic plans that are put into action and yield results. The town needs commercial infrastructure to support the needs of the community. Georgetown is located near one of the biggest interstate highways in the country, receives considerable daily consumer traffic, yet the commercial base remains stagnant. The town can't have it both ways. You either want to be a Norman Rockwell painting and stuck in the past, or you plan to adapt, progress, and change with economic times. What will be the results of inadequate annual revenue? This isn't something that may happen. It's already happening, and we're experiencing the initial stages. Teachers from K, and I should say pre-K through 12, fear the negative impact of students resulting from larger class sizes, particularly at pre-K and elementary. As we know, the district has recently been downgraded by the state at Pembroke level, and this potentially could occur at the middle school level concerning class size and services. Teachers feel that less support coupled with more students has reached a tipping point that compromises our product. Money is not a direct correlation to success. However, lack of funding certainly doesn't remedy the situation. Not only are teachers concerned about the impact these decisions will have on current students, but there's a concern that we're losing good students every year who see the writing on the wall. The GEA respects the decision for members of the community to opt for private education. However, For the price and success we've had at this district, we have to ask ourselves why good students are leaving and will more follow. Schools, police, fire, municipal workers are the lifeblood of any town, and inadequate funding endangers Georgetown's core. We're here to serve, yet if we don't have the funding to do so, the product becomes compromised. You pay for what you get. And by comparison concerning education, this town has gotten what it's paid for several years. We would like to respectfully ask that the following be considered within the strategy for the second round of cuts that may result in 5 to 6 more teaching positions, if this time occurs. Number 1, if the town requests further cuts, the GEA is requesting the entire budget be open for consideration. That includes the nearly $1 million represented by administrative salaries. The GEA recognizes that with the creation of the new Pembroke, one administrative position was consolidated and later placed by a lesser salary. However, consolidation is not the same as telling someone he or she no longer has a job. If cuts are made solely to teachers, it will increase the divide that already exists between teachers and management. A gesture such as this will additionally serve well when our next bargaining session begins in 2017. In addition, the GEA is asking that the human impact of cuts be accurately identified to the community. Numbers, such as 1.2 FTE, while they're accurate, are not what teach children in this community. People teach. And not only do we teach, we offer advice, we comfort, we listen, and care sometimes when no one can. This is what is being cut and what children lose in the process. Furthermore, teachers who lose multiple classes and no longer have full-time employment will likely look elsewhere to meet their financial needs. This impacts morale, and this lack of consistency will likely be felt by students in the classroom. Number 3, there are programs that actually save the district money, so we want the public informed before decisions are made. There are current SPED programs district-wide that annually save tens to hundreds of thousands by preventing outplacement costs. Additional cuts may compromise state compliance, particularly within special education, and as a result, more students who are sent out of district will result in expanding costs. Number 4, technology has been an issue at both the new Pembroke and Georgetown Middle High School. Technology by itself is neither good nor bad. What matters is the effectiveness in which it is applied. While the one-to-one initiative is a promising endeavor, if there is a choice between people and technology, the GEA takes people every day. Considering the financial climate, the GEA is asking that a portion of technology expenditures be allocated to funding teaching positions. Lastly, the GEA supports the work that NEASC does. As the body that accredits schools throughout New England, the drive to meet high standards usually results in success. However, the cost for this service is exorbitant. 10 years ago, the cost was approximately $20,000. It's safe to assume that this cost has risen in the last decade. Some districts, locally, have opted to not participate in NEASC's process. If the money designated for NEASC could supplement the shortfall, the GEA would ask its members to continue to meet or exceed those standards, just not at the financial cost of the district. Closing, we hope you will seriously consider our perspective and request during this difficult process. We're willing to assist in any way we can in order to protect members and maintain the level of education Georgetown residents have grown accustomed to. We are willing to answer any questions you may have, either now or at your convenience. And again, I appreciate everyone for listening, and we hope to reach an amicable resolution in a cooperative nature. So,
Thank you, Mike.
thank you.
Thank you.
Michael, always eloquent. I do appreciate you coming. We do have a great relationship. I want to just stress that that is very important to us as well as the superintendent. So I do appreciate you coming, sharing all that with us.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to come on up and talk? Anyone? Okay, at this time, I do want to just read an email that I did receive from a community member that was not able to attend tonight's meeting. Her name is Jill Shaw. And before I do that, if we could just get the people that came in to sign that for me, that would be great. Okay, Jill began her email saying that she wanted to be at the school committee meeting tonight, but she could not adjust her schedule to accommodate. Since I cannot be there, I would like to pass along my sentiments. I love this town. A big part of what I love about it is our dedication to quality living. I am very concerned about the impact our lack of budget, particularly on the schools, will have in the short and long term. Reducing programs, services, and people will affect the quality of education. A decrease in education will make our town less appealing to families considering moving in and to those of us already here who have the option to move. Attracting and retaining residents in Georgetown directly impacts the economic stability of our town, and our schools matter. And they need proper funding to maintain quality and compete with other districts. I know we can only do so much with what we have, and I know both the school committee and administration are doing all that is possible to support the schools. Please know that my lack of attendance tonight does not reflect my lack of concern or commitment to our schools. So I appreciated her taking the time to do that, and I know that it is difficult to come out. I know there are a lot of community members tonight that are watching, that are concerned, and I'm glad that this is being noticed, because this is not easy for any of us here. It's difficult. So again, I'm hoping that you, because you came, you wanna share some concerns. So I'm gonna ask again if there's anyone here that wants to come on up and tell us what you're thinking, or how you feel, or just anything. Come on. Joe, do you wanna come up after?
Oh, sorry, I just have a
No,
very
that's fine.
long arm. State your name. Sure. My name is Michelle Costa. I live at 6 Raymond Road. And I have been through this very personally for 7 years as a principal in a neighboring town. And I just want to say that I know how difficult this is for you. I actually sit at the table in my town, so for every single meeting, so I know exactly what you go through. And I guess from watching this myself and going through a few very difficult budget years, I think that the best thing that you can do to help us as parents who actually are coming out and really do want to become involved is telling us very explicitly what we can do. And so if there are a group of us that want to help and we really want to get involved, but we may not know how to do that or what to do, that you just kind of shout out some suggestions to us and the people that really want to help. Because I know that I do. I moved here only 2.5 years ago, and I have an 8-year-old and then a 2-year-old who's going to be coming through. So these changes obviously make me very, very nervous. So I'm ready to help, and I'm very willing to help. And I know how difficult your job is, so any way we can help, just be very explicit in how, because some people may not know how. Thank you.
Thank you.
Someone else coming up?
Either way, I'll just speak.
Please, go ahead.
I wasn't intending to speak, but I'll just add to what
I'm
Jill
glad that
said.
you did. Yes.
Thanks for coming up.
Can you just state your name?
Holly Flood, 7 Patriot Lane.
Hi, Helen.
So, in addition to as a resident and also president of the GEF, we really work hard to supplement where the budget cannot fill in, especially where technology, science, and arts are lacking. But I have to say I'm very concerned from the GEF point of view that technology we have provided and that we'd like to continue to provide. We do need support for the teachers to integrate the technology at Pembroke. That's a huge piece of the puzzle. I've had many conversations with teachers about, you can give us iPads, you can give us new TVs, but if we don't know how to integrate that into the classroom, it's somewhat useless. So just from the GEF point of view, and then as a parent of a 3rd grader, I really hope that that will really be considered, because again, we need the people and the technology, not just technology. iPad's great, but not if you don't know how to turn it on. So I support the teachers and the technology, and we really appreciate the community's support. And I know the GEF and the PTA are hoping to continue to help fill in some of the gaps here. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have to say my name?
Yes. Yes.
Joe Patel, Joe. I think my colleague Mike Murphy said everything that we had to say, and I thought he said it beautifully. I'd like it to take it a step further. The speaker a few speakers ago asked concrete ways of how we're going to do this. This is 1993. 23 years I've been in this district. This is all a recording to me, recording to you, show. I mean, we've heard this every single year, and yet here we are again, banging our heads, looking for funds. As Mike had mentioned, this is not a funding issue, it's a revenue issue. And this town, since 1993, we've been talking about this year after year. It's time that Georgetown gets out of 1950 Mayberry mode and gets into 2016. And we know that we're talking to people that support us. We were just in a locked-in meeting, Carol, Bobby, Mike, and I, a couple of days ago. You know our feelings about this. We know that you are supportive of the teachers and the budget. This is a revenue issue. And you're looking for concrete ways. We need to start getting people in the positions on whether it be the selectmen or the town administrator position that are pro-schools and that are forward thinkers. We can't be thinking about just today and or tomorrow. We need to be looking down 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road. We need some good visionaries, some strategic planning for the next decade in Georgetown, or we're going to be here again next year. And right now, that's not currently happening, and it hasn't happened over the last 23 years that I've been here. It's time we start getting some people on the boards that have forward thinking and are ahead of the game, whether it be 3, 5, or 10 years down the road. This is not a school committee problem. This is not a superintendent problem. It's definitely not the teachers' problems. The problem lies on the leadership in this town, and that's where we need to start fixing the problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wasn't going to get up, but there we go. So I agree with everything that was said. Kathy Hogan, 8 Hogway. But the reality is that we're here. We needed $700,000, right? To keep status quo.
Right.
You've made some adjustments, and now you're at, what, a 2%
2%,
over last year's?
yes.
What do we do about that? Future thinking, great. Change is great. I totally agree. We need totally different people in certain places. But what do we do today? Any ideas?
We were talking about, too bad we didn't have a magic money tree, right? With Maggie
Right?
was
I
at a
mean,
meeting.
we don't.
No.
It's the reality. So my question is the reality is this is what it is and we have to deal with it for now. Because we can't pull the money from a tree.
Right.
Or are there places across the departments where we can steal the money from? It's pretty much what it comes down to.
Well, that's a FinCom, that's a, so maybe if you just explain, Barbie, what the process is, so people can.
Right, so what we do is we build the budget
Yeah.
along with the superintendent and Joan, which have done a great job in, being under the direction of what FinCom is telling us we have, what parameters we have. So at this point, what the superintendent has recommended her budget to the school committee. The school committee has not adopted that budget yet. And then once we do adopt a budget, we then proceed to the finance committee, and then we tell them, this is what we want, and, then we're at their mercy.
But the reality is that there's no funds. If you go to them with this budget, you've already went to them with the 700,000.
Well, we explained to them
Increase,
the
right?
situation that we were in,
Yeah.
that we are in.
And we
Yes.
did some long-term planning. The Budget and Finance Committee met with them and
Right.
showed an analysis of 3 years of what would happen at various different levels of funding so
Right.
that they would have a clearer idea of what the impact of cuts or not.
And what the future looks like.
Right.
I mean, the
Future looks
future
like,
is
yeah.
very,
Well, the future's very important, but
Yes.
today's just as important,
Yes.
because honestly, this was like a surprise to me, this whole budget thing. I don't know why I never caught wind of it, but I didn't.
Yeah.
So, and I know it's a surprise for a lot of people in town, and you're gonna get people that are like, oh my God, we just built this big huge school, now we're cutting teachers? Maybe we shouldn't have built the school, and I don't want that happening, cause we needed the school.
correct.
So, to me, the problem that needs to be solved is what are we gonna do today? What are we gonna do with this year's budget? How are we gonna, can we fix it? I don't think we can, cause we don't have the money.
Well, the town will have to explore what the options are. So as Barbie said, the FinCom they're, this Saturday, I think they're meeting with all the town departments.
Okay.
And believe me, their budgets are very small.
Right,
They're very
right.
small. I mean, very small. And in many ways underfunded as well,
Right.
right? When you do the comparisons, if you just look at the police budget,
Right.
the number of full-time officers that we have based on the number of calls, you
Mhm.
know, that are being, their requests for service and all, I mean, they're underneath
Right,
the
so the
average.
reality is, we're probably not gonna find,
Well, again, the Finance and Advisory Board is meeting with all the departments. Then they're gonna meet with the schools separately, so that meeting, we haven't scheduled it, I
Yeah,
don't
we
think,
haven't
but I
scheduled
think
that
it's
yet.
sometime after the 10th of March, in
Yeah.
that middle of March. I mean, people are welcome, those are public meetings too,
Mhm.
people are welcome to come and watch those debates and discussions, and then they look at all of the town's finances, they look at what they have available for, they levy the tax, you know, go to up to 2.5%, they look at any revenue that they might, you know, be able to tap into, they look at the potential new growth in the community, they usually budget about $100,000 in new growth, but honestly, what's really a challenge for them this year is the insurance costs are high, and we all know that, cause it comes out of our pockets, right? Health insurance, property liability, we did build new schools, so the insurance costs did go up,
right,
right? Cause now the buildings must be insured at a certain level, and we would want that. So, and then there's the debt service, so when they break that all down, you know, they do have a stabilization fund, they do have some free cash, but you wouldn't use free cash for recurring expenses,
right.
right? Cause then you're in a deficit the following year. So it really is a community conversation,
Right,
right? It really is. And then on town meeting, you know, people need to come, and if people don't agree, then that's when they need to, that's why you have an open town meeting.
Right.
You know, then people have the opportunity to vote their conscience and what they wanna see happen. The problem is, there's gotta be a funding source for it.
Right.
And again, that's, the conversation isn't, school committee doesn't control that, as
right,
as
and that's
Barbara's
why
saying to you.
like, this meeting is wonderful, because we can ask these questions, but I think that
Yeah.
it should happen well before this.
Well, you know, to be fair, I wrote a blog today on how the budget cuts were made, because people have been asking that question. I wanted, you know, people to understand, you know, the difficult process that we had to do. But this, last year was the start of the problem, and we had public hearings, you know, nobody came. And we made $200,000 worth of cuts last year. We have been talking to the town about this for 5
I've been
years.
hear- oh, yeah, I've been
Because,
hearing it from
because
you for a
when you
long
get,
time.
when you get an override, you know, in anywhere,
Yeah,
It
you know,
generally lasts about
it-
5 years.
you have to do
and
what
you
it's
benefit.
designed for in year one,
Mhm.
which was done. It was designed for the school in year one. But then subsequent years, and what was lovely is for the 5 years, there wasn't one cut in the town department, in a town department. It was wonderful. We didn't get level services. But that's what happens when you don't get level services, it chips away a little bit at a
Right.
time. And then you find yourself 5 years later, sort of
the
so
same
last
we
year
were
we made
before.
a small dip, right? We asked for 2.5% and we got 1.6.
1.6. That was
Okay,
a red.
and then, of course, this year, so that, the reason that there's a bigger deficit this year is because we didn't get.
Because you didn't get last year.
Right, so it's like, it's a process of diminishing returns after a
Right.
while. And so, that's why we ended up in the pickle that we're in. So, we've been saying all along, our worry and concern is what happens going forward if nothing changes in the town. If the structure of the town's finances doesn't change. Because I can't imagine what happens if we think these are bad, and they are.
And they are.
What would happen
Oh.
next year? Where do you go?
Right.
There's really nothing but bodies and people.
Right.
And, you know, if you read my blog, you'll understand how painful that process is for all of us, cause
Right.
we need everything we have. So I don't know if there's money, Kathy, you know, we don't have we only have the knowledge of what we have.
You're-
I'm hoping that they're talking about level funding every department. Level funding means another $275,000 beyond this.
Right,
Right, and the money can't continue to come from the taxpayers.
No.
We all,
no, but
we
in
all agree
reality,
with
that's
that.
what's gonna happen in this town, because there's no business tax. So where's it gonna come from?
Right, well,
But the rest.
Well, so
that's why
I
we,
was,
That's-
that's why we
that's
need to
one
have,
source.
see what the future of our community can be. I mean, it's a beautiful
Oh,
town.
sure.
And there's plenty
But it
of,
doesn't
well, I
happen
shouldn't say
overnight.
plenty of options, but there are options that need to be
There are
explored.
definitely
Yes.
options.
I mean, honestly, and it wasn't very well publicized, it wasn't our call, but there's been a process in the town going on developing a vision for the town. That's happened on a series of, two
Saturdays.
Saturdays, and then there's one, so if you wanna come, there's one on March
Fifth.
5th, from 9 to 12. And we're gonna provide babysitting, even if
That's a
I
Saturday,
have to
isn't
be the babysitter, okay? So, it's a Saturday, understand, their point is, when is a good night? I mean, the nights are tough for families, and so are weekends, obviously, for obvious reasons. But the process has been, that they've been engaged in, has been looking at all the various aspects of town, from housing to economic development to town services. March 5th is the schools, is one of them. And they look at, you know, all the people's strengths and weaknesses, opportunities, challenges, and ideas that people have to deal with it. So then they're gonna take all that and create a strategic plan.
Right.
And then hopefully, we've been sort of advocating that the town perhaps get some extra outside help from someone like a budget analyst who does nothing but this work, who works with communities, that says, all right, all of you guys get around this table. What does your debt look like for the next 15 years? What do you have possibly coming in? What will your taxes look like? You know, what big things do you see coming? And then they can help us figure out in the long run, all right, if you have to have an override, when? If you're bringing in business, when could you expect to see the benefit of that?
Right.
So, I mean, that's what we've been trying to advocate for, and I think we've gotten some interest in that. We can't do it.
No.
The town has to do it, but, you know, we're all in the same team, we're all in this together.
Right, and I think that the community, I'll speak for myself, but I know that you guys are doing the best job that you can do with the hand that you're dealt,
Yes,
for sure. And I think that most people are doing that.
yes.
We're just not in a town that can support what we're doing financially,
Unless something changes.
unless something changes.
That's right.
But that change won't start rolling
Right.
till,
Gotta be able
you know,
to-
next year or whatever, so what do we do now?
Right, so these are great questions that if you come to the Finance Advisory Board meeting, when they talk, you know, they have open meetings as well. These are great questions for them, because I know, like, for example, there's something in the works about the marijuana dispensary. Well, that, you know, projected is that might bring in $500,000 a year after that gets started. I don't know if that's true or a pipe
Right.
dream, but that's what the projection is. So those are the kind of things and I don't mean, I'm sorry. I didn't even mean that, but it works, right? So, you know, what other things might the town be interested in doing? But honestly, the people who get involved are the voices that get heard. And there seems to be, in my understanding, a misinterpretation that everybody wants this small town, nobody's gonna ever change anything, that it's fine just the way it is, and that's not what I hear from everybody. They want a small town, but they understand smart growth is important, and so when is there gonna be a community conversation and consensus around it? Because otherwise, we're all in these discussions and we're a little powerless to, you know,
To do anything.
we don't,
In the meantime, the children
right.
are gonna lose.
It takes a thoughtful group of citizens to come forward and make positive change happen.
Because I think the people that are in power really want to, I don't think there's a judgment there. I think it's all good intentions and, you know, but, you know, there's gotta be some outside of the box thinking, I think. It can't be throw your hands up and say, oh, well, we just can't afford anything. You know, it really can't be that. And there are places that have people who help with it. No,
That's not what people who
but come
talk
on
to,
March
I
5th,
know, want.
you know, and again, we'll keep you informed of all the meetings that we know that are happening, that have these discussions tonight.
Right,
the
and as
school
soon as
committee's-
our meeting with the finance committee is
Right.
confirmed, we definitely need to get that out.
Absolutely.
Because that will be a very important
Right.
meeting that I would love for, you know, triple this, quadruple this.
Open
you know,
meeting. The public is invited.
You can also jot emails, and, you know, if you go just on the town website, you know, there are, addresses, email addresses for everybody that, you know, that works, you know, on the finance board, or it's Board of Selectmen, you know, I mean, there is the power of the pen is very important. If you have an opinion and you can't necessarily show up at a meeting, nothing,
Right.
you know, you can drop a letter, like Jill did for the school
Right.
committee. you know, so, I mean, take advantage of that.
And you
I
can
think
ask
they- I think they-
questions too.
yeah.
I've emailed Mike Farrell with a couple,
Exactly.
you know, with questions. I wanna understand
No,
where the
yeah.
town is. I really,
I mean, I think they wanna
And-
hear
And
from
they
people.
respond,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but it still doesn't get us to a place where we have an answer.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
It may, yeah,
So
it,
like,
it may start with
there's-
understanding, you know, you have to understand exactly
Yeah.
where you are before you can move forward.
I think Joe mentioned that there's gonna be some seats available. So there's gonna be 2 members of the Board of Selectmen, and there's probably gonna be 3 Finance and Advisory Board positions coming up.
no,
'Cause there are 3 people leaving that board.
yes.
So,
And
so that, I mean,
there's people raising their hand to
great, that's
to
awesome.
run.
Well, very good,
So
so that's
there
good.
will be change, but we're still not, today, we will
Today.
be here with an answer,
That's correct.
right? We just know that there's cuts, and there's probably gonna be more cuts.
Well, I mean,
Well-
as a group, we can say we're gonna go to the FinCom and recommend a 5% increase. That, if we don't get it, we're making these cuts.
Right.
So, you know, it's all strategy,
Right,
right?
but at the end
Right.
of the public hearing, I am gonna open the, school committee meeting, and I would love if you guys could just stay for a little bit while we do openly talk about the budget. That would really be great if you don't have something that you have to rush out to.
You might wanna stay tuned.
Is there anyone else that wants to come on up? No?
Okay.
Okay. All right, so I will close the public hearing, 7:19 PM. And at this point in time, I will open the, school committee meeting for Thursday, February 25th, 2016. If we could please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so before we proceed with the meeting, we just have a few things that we need to approve. I would like to make a motion to approve regular session minutes of February 11th, 2016, governance session minutes of February 12th, 2016, and acceptance of warrants 34P16 and 35V16.
So moved. Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and I would like to talk to our student rep. How are you
Hi,
today?
I'm good. How are
Thanks,
you?
Megan, for coming. How's school going?
It's going good. A lot of stuff going on. We have the girls' basketball team has made it to the tournament.
Yay.
That's
So,
great.
yeah, so we're waiting to hear
Exciting.
when their first game is. Drama Fest is headed to the first round of competition. That's this Saturday. I forget
Where
which
is that?
I forget which school it's at.
Was it Ipswich? Wasn't it Ipswich last year?
It was at Ipswich last year.
We can find out
Sure.
where that is.
Yeah.
I think I,
They always do a great job.
And we have the catwalk for cancer
yes.
is next Friday. So we're very close to we're getting everybody with all their dresses and stuff, and we have a GoFundMe online. The website is myjimmyfund.org/2016/catwalk for cancer Georgetown.
So before you go any further, Maggie, I don't wanna put you on the spot, but one of my things is to call the record to make sure I'm trying to help Maggie get the word out.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put it on my blog, so I'll post it on the blog, but, you know, we're gonna put it on GCTV so that it can go around on the little screen. And, we were gonna do a press release, so if we can just, you know, publicize it for the kids. I mean, are you gonna tell them where it came from, how it started, Megan?
This is a fashion show.
This is a fashion
yeah,
show.
student run. It's a Central Catholic has done this for a couple years, and the president of student council, Maggie, now kind of came up with this idea to maybe start it at Georgetown, and so we got together, send out applications for any students who wanted to walk, and we had a big response. I think we have 58 models, and contacted a lot of sponsors, and so we're hoping that it turns out to be a big event, and that we'll be able to do it in years to come too.
Now,
Yeah, that's
can
great.
where can people buy tickets? Because tickets are $12 a piece, right?
Yes, we're currently working on an online option so people out of school can purchase them. We're gonna talk to Ms. Marchetti about setting that stuff up, but for right now, students can buy them in school. We sell them at lunchtime. They can also reserve tickets, so if parents aren't paying for them now, they're gonna pay for them at the door. We can reserve tickets that way too.
But, and if there are enough seats, then you could buy a ticket at the door?
Yes,
If
yep.
they're not all, if you're not all sold out.
Yeah.
And it's for Dana-Farber, right?
Yes, all the proceeds go to Dana-Farber and the Jimmy Fund.
Where is it?
It's at Georgetown High School on Friday at 7 o'clock.
And did you open that up to the whole high school, 9 through 12, as far as the models and?
We just did juniors and seniors.
Okay.
But anybody in the high school is for volunteers. We're happy to.
Oh,
And-
okay, like
and-
community service hours?
And you're getting the clothes that they're wearing from local vendors, right?
Yep. We have a couple places in Newburyport, Farley's, Baubles and Lace, Men's Warehouse, Glitterati, Danvers. So, yeah.
Great. I love fashion
Yeah,
shows.
that's
Yeah.
great. The PTA did a fashion show a couple of times, and
Yeah.
it was so much fun.
Yeah.
It was.
And it was successful, but it was a lot of work.
Yeah,
It
it
is a
has
lot of
been
work.
has been a lot of just the other day we had a practice with all for everybody to start walking, and it was it'll be fun. We're putting together a video for why everybody's walking, and so we're excited about
That's
it.
great. Well, I
Yeah.
wish you the best of luck with it.
Yeah,
When
thank
I try
you.
and go. That's good.
Great.
Okay, anything else with the school? Anything else going on?
No, that's about it.
No.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so at this point in time, I want to ask the public, which I have to ask anyways, if there's anyone here that wants to talk about anything on the agenda.
And we also have the school calendar on the agenda.
We do have the school calendar on the agenda, which I'm like, I don't know if I can deal with that too. I was feeling the pressure. All right, so I do want to talk to the school committee about your thoughts on the budget that Michael and I, since we're the Budget and Finance Subcommittee, worked with the superintendent and with Joan about. So I'm hoping that I can get some feedback from you guys, and let me know how you feel about the, to me, the devastation that I think we all feel. Definitely sleepless nights,
Yes.
I'm sure, for a lot of people, but
mean,
it definitely has been difficult.
In good conscience, I really can't go forward with it. I just think that we need to go back to FinCom and with a different number and see what they have to say.
Okay.
Well, I think one of the things of the school committee, our number one job is for achievement of students and the well-being of students. And this budget does not
Reflect that.
reflect that, and of nobody's fault here. But every line that's a cut is devastating, as I know Carol has said that last meeting, but there's not one thing that we can say, oh, well, that's okay. Nothing
Right.
on the, in here is
Easy to take.
easy to take away.
Right. I do agree with that, and I spent some time with the superintendent this afternoon, talking to her about how we proceed. In the 5 years that I've been on the school committee, it just seems that the finance committee tells us what to come in at, and we do our best to do that. And I'm saying to myself, but why does that make it right? The school committee and the superintendent work, as Cheryl said, for the betterment of our kids. And to go in with this budget is not a reflection of how we feel. So to go with, what I'm going to ask the superintendent to do is to go back to, not to the drawing board, but to basically look and see if we could possibly go in, it'd be perfect to get the 700,000 that we need. But I do think going in at 3.5% increase.
Which is a number that comes from a previous, document of a budget summary, a draft of the town that did result in a deficit, but I just wanna say, I mean, I also, it's devastating. It does not reflect at all what we want. It does not reflect, an ability to provide, quality 21st century education to prepare our children to go out and do what they want to do in the world. It's, I do wanna say though, I wanna thank you for, the time consuming, process. I know you worked very carefully with the administrative team and with a lot of teachers, and these are very, these cuts have been looked at and made in the way that is the least impactful, and you've tried to preserve programs, you've tried to preserve class sizes where possible. It's not always possible. I know you put a lot into this, and so I agree that it would be, I do not feel good about putting this budget forward. I just would like to say something though, the FTE cuts are.
Just speaking to that, can I interrupt you for a minute?
Yes, sure.
Because I do appreciate what Mike Murphy said earlier about I know when we have our meetings, we talk about like 0.2, 0.4, and before I was on the school committee, I'm like, what does this mean? To me, it doesn't really put a person in front of me when I hear that. So I do appreciate the fact that Mike took the time to say that those 0.2s, those are real people that are impacted. And if you take away 0.2 of someone's day, I mean, that is going to interfere with their, what they can afford to do. So to me, that's basically saying, look for another job.
I mean, FTE
Really,
stands
it would
for
be-
full-time equivalent, for those people who are not familiar with that. And so what I have is 9.5 full-time equivalent positions that are cut in this budget. It affects 15 individuals. For the Pembroke School, I've got 2 teacher full-time equivalents that would be cut, 2.6 FTEs total. And then for the middle high school, I've got 2.8 teacher FTEs and 6.9 FTEs total. That's $117,747 from the Pembroke. That's $281,367 from the middle high school. And I understand that the middle high school classes are put together in a very different way than the elementary school are. So the way you've done this, you have been able, to preserve the electives, but with higher, much higher class sizes that make me very uncomfortable. And I hope we don't have to go forward. I hope we can go in a more positive direction. But if we can't, I would just like to see, and cuts like more completely distributed throughout the whole school system. I heard what Michael Murphy said about, administrative cuts as well as teacher cuts, and that does make make sense to me. It's very, very difficult. I mean, the Pembroke and the middle high school are very different schools, they're in different positions. I understand that, we wanna move the Pembroke accountability up a level, for 2 levels ideally for sure. But the number of students are not all that different. It's 639 students at the middle high school and 736 students at the Pembroke School, and every single one of them matters, and every single one of them has their education and their life and their future at stake with this budget.
Right.
So I don't like it, but those are my thoughts on it.
Mm-hmm. So, just to explain how the process will now happen is, we'll still meet with them and we'll show them a budget that is different from what we have been reviewing, which would be the 2.03% increase. And then it would be up to them as to how they would like to respond. And I have no idea of what that response will be. I don't even know if 2.03 would have been accepted. And that, to me, is the scariest part of it all, because to have to go through each individual cut that you have all seen was devastating. So to think of another $270,000 off of that, I don't even know where that would come from. That would not severely impact the children that walk into those schools every day. So, but again, with a clear conscience, I think we can go in and say that this is not what we believe in. We believe that the teachers, the administration, go to work every day doing what they can for our kids, and we have to be most appreciative of that. So to say to FinCom it's not acceptable is, I think, the right thing to do at this point. Again, it's been a difficult process, and I know that the teachers and the other people that are, the other staff that have been affected have probably had very difficult few weeks, and, you know, that really bothers me too.
I mean, I also want to say that I do hope that we can all work together in this town, for, you know, a mutually positive solution. I know that the town has gotten less than $60,000 total over last year from the state. So they have we have very difficult choices, they have difficult choices as well. I agree, I'm in support of what we're talking about doing. But I just wanna recognize that, you know, we're on one team, we're all together, and we don't want to, you know, it's a very small pie. It's a very small pie this year. And what can we do about the pie, increasing the size of the pie next year? That is something that we need to think carefully about and take action on. But this year, it's not a pie we're happy with.
Right. Well, like Kathy had said, we need to deal with today. You know, this is what's important today. So, you know, we can continue to say that next year is gonna be worse, but let's not think about it. Let's move forward with what we think we can do. And again, we really do need the support of the community behind us. We need to have the appropriate people hear your concerns, your legitimate concerns. I mean, these are our kids that, you know, we're here for them. They can't speak for themselves when it comes to things like this. And it even saddens me to think that the kids are aware of what's going on in the community. And to think that they're concerned for their teachers, because I know, you know, I've had kids say that, you know, which one of my teachers is gonna go, and that is just, you know.
It's heartbreaking.
It is.
It's really, it's
difficult.
heartbreaking.
Right. So,
So just so I know what we're talking about, if we go with a 3.5% increase overall, that means we're gonna add back in $203,525.
can you tell me that again?
Yep. $203,525.
Okay.
So
And that's a 3.5.
that's at 3.5%. Another $203,525.
Sorry.
It's okay. So we can do that, and then you have your next meeting, that special meeting that you scheduled on March 2nd, so we would be prepared to talk about it at that meeting.
Okay.
Okay, will that work?
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
That works for me.
And, you know, a concrete thing that people could also do is, I did speak with Senator Tarr, the other day, and, you know, on another matter, but I took the opportunity to talk to him about, you know, the funding challenges in Georgetown, particularly in our budget. And, you know, I know that that's happening statewide, because I work with my colleagues that every town is sort of struggling. And there was a huge committee that was put in place, to study the foundation formula, which is where the state figures out their money. And that foundation committee came up with some very radical and very, increased recommendations for funding. Everyone agrees that the funding formula is woefully inadequate for the actual costs that education, you know, costs. For example, just the cost of special education, the foundation formula figures 3%. Our special ed costs are much higher than 3%. They give an allowance for health insurance. Now, we don't provide the health insurance through the schools, a regional school district would, but it's not close to the 10.9% increase that the town experienced in health insurance costs this year. And in Georgetown, the employees pay 60/40. They don't do what other districts do, which is 85-15 or 70-30. We already pay a lot more than most in the state for health insurance costs. So, having the opportunity, Lenny Mira is a local Georgetown person. He's a rep for this region, and Senator Tarr. It doesn't hurt to drop their offices a note saying, we don't think the Chapter 70 formula has been appropriate and adequate for Georgetown, and we'd like to see the recommendations from the Foundation Committee actually put in place. They listen to their constituents, so that's a concrete thing that you could do as well as talk to the Finance and Advisory Board and Selectmen and obviously school committee.
Can I just, the Chapter 70 funding, for Georgetown, I have here that it increased by 0.6%.
Probably.
But then I read somewhere else that it was gonna increase across the state 1.6%.
Well, it's based on a formula, right?
So we only get 0.6, but somebody else is getting 1.6.
Or more.
Or more. Right, that's the average.
See, that's an
But,
issue.
but remember, the state has their formula based on data they look at, right?
Right,
So if they look at the median income in town,
Right,
they look at it
That
in
factors into it.
isolation,
right.
but that's a factor.
But so we got a total of $34,465 more than last year. That was our increase in Chapter 70 funds.
And last year our increase was only around 27,000.
And last year was 27,000.
So for people who like to look at this kind of stuff, if you do go to the website, and you click on departments, the tab at the top, and you click on budget and finance, you can actually see all of the documents that the school committee's got. And in the back of the book, there are a series of graphics that are sort of interesting that show how state aid and local aid and it has worked itself out over the years. It's a longitudinal bit of information that comes directly from the state. The committee, we wanted to look at historical data, not just year-to-year data. So, those are kind of interesting, and you might want to take a look. It compares us to the communities that the state compares us to, which, they look at per pupil expenditures, they look at size, they look at median income, property values, and they decide what communities we're most similar to. And then what we did is just took a look at how do we fare, against those. And so there's some historical information you might find interesting if you look at that document.
Right. And while I do think Chapter 70 is not adequate,
You can't
I
rely on
do
it.
think that the state aid has not been bad. And they will show you, if you take a look at those, state aid has not been bad. It really is the community that, our community needs to step up and figure out how we're gonna get some more money,
That
so.
has been voiced by a representative.
Yes, definitely.
Well, I think
A
it was
full-
voiced a few times here tonight.
By
so.
Harriet
Stanley felt
said
very
that.
strongly about
Yes,
that,
felt
yeah.
strongly about that.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's how we will proceed. So March 2nd is our next meeting, which I believe is next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Make a change.
It was supposed to be the first.
I believe it's a Tuesday.
It's the second, right?
It's the second.
Yes.
Second.
Yeah, so March
So it
2nd.
changed from Monday to Tuesday.
Because it was gonna be on the
Yeah.
first, but remember, that's Super Tuesday or
And that meeting will specifically be just on the budget.
budget.
So if you wanted to attend that meeting, we would certainly love to have you.
And March 5th, come on March 5th in the morning at Pembroke.
Yep, come
from
on
9
March
to
5th.
12.
And the finance committee meeting, we will definitely get the word out there as to when finance and school committee will be meeting.
Second is Wednesday.
Wednesday's the second.
Wednesday's the second.
And what time is that? That's 7:00?
7 o'clock.
7,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
here,
I know
here,
it was
7
Wednesday.
o'clock. Okay, so Wednesday, March 2nd. Okay, great. Again, I appreciate everybody coming out. Unfortunately, it's not for great circumstances, but I do appreciate you coming out.
So do we need to vote?
You probably need to
We
vote.
do need to vote on that, so the chair will entertain a motion to, do I need figures? Do I need to use the actual dollar figures, or can I just use the 2.03 to 3.5?
Well, we gave you that.
I know,
We could say this, but. I could say that you want us to come out of the budget in that amount.
okay, perfect. Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to move forward with an FY17 budget, dollar amount $14,286,367.
So moved.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, here it goes.
Okay, we are now going to talk to Principal Mar. Are you going to come on up and talk about your after-school programs? After-school updates? Do we have anyone else coming with you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I'm looking forward to an update on this.
Elizabeth put together.
I'm looking forward to talking to you, because it seems like the program is going well.
We have a very healthy extended day population.
Great.
At Pearlie, which, as you know, is the preschool, there are, I think maybe 20-25 children between the morning and the afternoon. Again, I'm not there every day, so I'm not exactly sure of the numbers, but I think the morning there might be 7 to 10 children, and then in the afternoon around 15 for the after-school care. And then at Pembroke, in the mornings, there are an average of 50 children in the morning, and then after school, there can be 90, 100 kids.
Wow.
Again, between kindergarten and grade 6.
So how many people does it take to handle that many kids in a program such as this?
I think there are maybe 5 or 6 after school, and they split the kids. The primary are downstairs, intermediate go up. They have a snack. There's always time to go outside. They do their homework, and then there's some kind of activity or craft. And then new this year is the vacation camp. Pembroke has never had the vacation camp. That's always been run at Pearlie.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So, and it's been my philosophy that when you offer something new, you have to offer it regardless of how many children are there. Because parents need to know that if they can't rely on it, and then at the last minute, if you don't have enough enrollment, you're gonna cancel.
Right.
So I talked with Miss Carroll, and we decided, let's go for it. So we were hoping someone would maybe run the vacation camps and have it a little bit separate than the extended day, so that you can really just devote lots of attention and have all kinds of activities. But Ms. Carroll did run the February camp. It was 4 days. There were, I think, maybe 20-25 children. So as the week got closer, the enrollment increased. And every day there was an activity, something happening. They either went on a field trip or had an in-trip.
That sounds great.
It was wonderful. So we are hoping to grow that, and then for April, again, regardless of how many children, we will run that, so that it's something that parents can rely on.
I would think that'd be very helpful. Good, great,
For working
for
parents,
the
it
students
really
and for
is, yeah.
working parents.
How do we schedule that though, like with the amount of people that you need? Like say,
What was the?
so as far as scheduling the appropriate amount of adults that would handle
Right.
the increase of kids, especially if they.
It's a little tricky. So what we tried to do is Elizabeth, Ms. Carroll did a line up people, as many as she could.
It's like they were on call.
On call, because you don't know
Yeah.
how many children. And as I said, as the week got closer, more children were enrolled. Just maybe you count on doing something, and the last minute you don't, or you have to work. So she had lined everyone up, and then, again, you don't wanna line somebody up and not have them work, so we did have a healthy number of people working. But again, we want to really grow that, because then the more children we have enrolled, then we can offer more activities and bring in different kinds of enrichments.
So during the vacation weeks, there's no, obviously, lunch available here? So it's,
No.
they brown
No.
bag it?
Yeah.
Margaret, could you just kind of sort of explain what the day would look like, just so that if folks are out there listening, to
Yeah.
hear what the day.
So children, we did open at 7. So again, knowing, families have to work, they still have to work regardless if it's maybe camp or vacation for us. So we opened at 7, so children would come. There are games and activities. And the morning, they really involve them in arts and crafts activities, hands-on. They take them down to the gym. They do some, activities down there. And then there's lunch. And then, for instance, in February, one day, Mr. Polston came in, did a music program with the kids. They went bowling, so they, took a bus bowling. Curious Creatures came in. And then I'm forgetting what Friday was. But, so then the afternoon is really, that's when the activity or the field trip happens. Then they come back and have a snack and more activities, and then we were open until 6.
Wow.
So.
And how much roughly is that for
Well,
a week?
So again, because it was new, there was actually a little bit of, there was some misinformation about the fee. Evidently, in the past, parents, if they were at Pearlie and they were enrolled in the program full-time, they didn't have to pay for the camp.
Oh.
So.
That is misinformation.
Yeah.
All of a sudden,
But
All of a sudden you have to pay.
That's, I actually wasn't even aware of that happening, so, when it came to our attention, I said to Ms. Carroll, obviously, let's honor that if parents are full-time, if children are in full-time, then we'll waive it this one time, but knowing that going forward, we can't sustain that.
Right.
So, I think it was $50 a day, for the whole.
Right. And do they have to commit to that time frame, or can they kind of
No,
say, I'll
you
be
don't
there
have
from
to.
8 to 2? and-
Yes,
There's
yes,
no,
you
it's
drop in.
flexible.
They commit for the whole week.
There's no tardy.
They commit for the whole week.
Or just a day.
Oh.
But it's still $50 a day, whether
Yes,
you're there
and
for
I'm
7.
probably, is that accurate? It was 50?
I don't remember.
Yeah, because the other thing that we have going on, what also is new are the, March 2nd is what was the first? Is the professional development day.
Yes.
So we also haven't run daycare on that day, but this year we're going to offer that. So again, in talking with Ms. Carroll, what we decided is that will be $50 a day if you're not enrolled in the program, but if you're enrolled, it would be $35.
Okay.
So, we're trying to make it fair that if you're in the program, you get somewhat of a discount, but we also want people to come in and offer activities, so it's fun. So the vacation camp is the same. We're trying to make it fun, so even if you don't need the extended day, maybe and you're hanging around, just come for the day if you like what we're offering.
Right.
So we really want to build that and make that attractive.
Well, that's good.
Wonderful.
So April, you're gonna have it again. That's great. So as long
Yes.
as all the correct information's out there in terms of what the parents
So,
are expected to
yes,
pay,
and
because
Ms.
that
Carroll-
is quite a,
Yeah. So we have said that going forward, there will be a fee
yeah,
regardless if you're enrolled in the program.
right.
Because it's a completely different program and obviously more hours than
And you have to
maybe
pay the
3.
staff.
So,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, I was gonna say that, I mean, we
Right.
don't wanna turn that into a deficit.
Exactly.
Right. We wanna be able to cover that. But it sounds like it's fun as far as the activities and things
It
that
is
you
fun.
have.
It is fun.
And the
engaged.
demand is obviously there, so I'm glad to see that
Yes.
you're supplying it.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
good.
The extended day it's a healthy program and it is fun and the kids are engaged and they're involved.
Yeah, Elizabeth has always done a great job.
Yes.
She's amazing.
And, yeah, she works a lot of hours.
Yes, she does.
Oh, that's great.
Does a great job.
Okay, does anybody have any questions about it?
Thank you, Margaret.
You're welcome.
Continued
Thank you.
success. Continued success. Okay, we're gonna talk about the school calendar.
Yeah, we can talk about the school calendar. Okay, school calendar. Okay, so this is draft 1 of the calendar.
I'm sure it won't be the last.
Well, maybe we'll be lucky and this will be the charming year, but, so Labor Day is the 5th.
Right.
So again, historically, the way the committee has gone is if Labor Day is early, we go after. And if Labor Day is late, we go before.
I'm smiling at you because when you say historically, I do wanna disagree with that.
That is kind of historically how it's been.
Okay.
It's always been,
The idea
There-
sounds good.
I think.
Well, the idea is good, but I do just wanna say that,
It depends on which committee, it's,
yeah,
this is.
I have always been an after Labor
I
Day
know you
person,
have.
regardless of
Yeah.
where it
I'm
falls.
speaking of the
I
committee,
do
not
wanna
the
say that.
individuals. We do, that is very true, it's very true. There are some people who feel very strongly that it should always be after Labor Day, no matter what. And then there are some people who feel strongly that it should always be before Labor Day, because then students get out earlier in the summer. And then there's everything in between,
It's
right?
always been an interesting
So what I have
conversation.
watched with the number of committees that I've worked with here, right, that it's gone from, so it's, what sort of happened historically is, if it's the first, second, or third, generally, we go after. If it's the fifth, sixth, or seventh, we generally go before, and the fourth has been like, not always clear.
Yeah.
And that's kind of,
The only thing that people really seem to agree on is everyone wants to get out early
they
in June.
wanna get out earlier in June,
But you
right?
have to have that 180
But
days to figure it out.
It's good that we have some area of agreement.
It's correct.
Right.
So what we're proposing, and obviously it's up for discussion and debate, is that we would start, the teachers would start on the 29th. That we would have our new teacher orientation the week before, which we always do.
Right.
Then we would have the 30th would be the first day of school for the kids. So we've always wanted to have the first week be 3 days. So the teachers come on Monday, the kids come on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then everyone has Friday off, because one of the things that, you know, we wanna make sure of for families is anybody who goes away for the long weekend, they have the opportunity to have a long weekend. So they get Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. We would return after Labor Day. Now, one of the things I put in the orange notes to explain to you is every time we talk about PD days, we talk about what days, when we would really like them, and then we talk about when we put them in, because we deal with the elections. Since we have hold our elections at the Pembroke School, they use the gym, which means that there can be no activities going on in the gym. So what we have done is worked with the town and said, you know what, in the interest of just everybody having a comfort level so that security isn't a question with people coming in and out of the building, and just the traffic and
And the
parking
scheduling too,
and
because then you
scheduling.
have to.
We say if there's a town election, we don't have school. So we would not generally in September, after we just start after Labor Day, on the 8th, put a full day PD day. However, because it's a town election, the recommendation is that that would be a full day.
Carol, what was it about
Service.
Pearlie that the state did not approve?
They had something to do with the handicap accessibility, and so Jan said that they just said it unless there was things done to it, and I didn't get the real details from her because she just basically said to me, I had the woman come in and she basically said it wouldn't
Well,
suffice.
the requirements are pretty.
They're pretty stringent.
They're pretty, right, because, you know, the lip of the doorway can't be
yeah,
more than so many inches.
Incline, I think that's what it was, something
Yeah,
with
we
the
did,
incline.
yeah, I do remember
Remember,
that.
you'd vote in the gym,
Down in the
so
gym. Right,
you're
so you have
going
to go
down,
down.
so there, you know,
For
we
people in
looked,
wheelchairs.
because that would be a little less disruptive, but
Yeah.
at the same time, you know, Pembroke did certify, and so we're just working with the town on that, and it
Probably
is better
would've
for our
been better.
kids not to have people coming in and out, and, you know, we'd probably have people coming in the side door, if the kids were there, and then the kids play out there, there's a whole playground, you know, so it just would be difficult, so the recommendation here would be that we would put the full day PD day there. Kindergarten would start, the day after everyone else, they'd start on Wednesday instead of Tuesday. And then in October, okay, so in terms of the professional development days, let's just talk about that for a minute. When we met with the Pembroke teachers, one of the things we were talking about was the importance of the opportunity for collaboration and ongoing training. So they asked if we would consider adding some half-days into the calendar so that those days could be spent, you know, as much as possible engaged in activities related to that improvement plan that we're putting in place there. So in October, we generally in October have a full day PD day. We're not recommending that because we're doing one in September, so we were recommending the 19th, and we recommended it being a Wednesday instead of a Friday. Let's see, then, so you see where the vacations are, you see where the parent conferences are.
Can I just ask, in September 23rd, there's an asterisk?
Yes.
What does that?
Let's just see, what does that mean?
I think that means half a day? No.
Yes, but let's see, I'm trying to think, that might be an error, because I don't see.
Yeah, there's no footnote.
Yeah, there's no
footnote,
footnote.
so that's probably an old note, so we're gonna cross that out for you.
Okay.
Oh,
and the other thing is,
Go
when
ahead.
would preschool start? That,
we have that.
It's usually the week after.
It's on the second page, which you don't have.
Is there?
You know how there's always a second page?
Right.
You'll get the second page,
It'll
but
be
the
on there.
preschool will be on that. Did you ask a question, Pam? Did you have a question?
Well, I was just looking at October.
Yep.
And is there a reason why this half PD day couldn't be on Friday the 7th so that people could have a long weekend?
No, I don't think there is. I think we were trying to, the half days we put on Wednesdays, so we were trying to think about families' predictability. You know, if they have to go to daycare, so if you know there's 3 Wednesdays, it's easier for you to plan, cause we did talk about the long weekend. I don't think we care.
Yeah, the
She has
seventh
a
is
point,
better.
the 7th.
Yep,
right.
no, but that's
Because it
usually
has
that
always
is usually
been
what we do.
A long
But
weekend.
usually it's a
You're right.
full, usually it's the
It's a
full day. It's not a full day, it's a half day, so
Right.
Still, families
But still-
could leave at 12 or,
they could. They could. I don't know
Could,
that
but
they
they
will,
couldn't.
but they could.
right.
We don't, I
Do you
don't
think
think
a
we
number
have
of
a,
people go away for
Yeah.
Columbus
I don't
Day?
think-
I think so.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I don't
mean,
think we have an issue with that. I don't think we have an issue.
So
But
change it
just
from
so
the
you
19th to
understand
the
the,
7th.
just so you understand the philosophy behind it. There was a method to the discussion. Then, so, let's see, I'm just gonna, let's just go through the months here. So November has, Veterans Day, obviously. Now, I believe there's another, hold on here,
And why is the,
there's another election day.
Right, yeah.
The 8th is an election day.
Very exciting election day.
Yes, that's a big one.
It's a big one.
what's going on?
Okay, so that's why that's there.
The commercials are
You got me.
almost over.
Yeah. So when we get to December,
Wait a minute, can you back up a
Okay,
second?
of course.
Sorry. I wanna go back to November.
Yep.
So the 8th is election. What?
Yes.
The 11th is.
11th is
Veterans,
Veterans
got
Day.
it. The 23rd is?
Conferences.
Conferences, okay.
Well, the 15th is middle
Well,
and
it
high
says-
school early release.
That's the conference day.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the 15th, so
And the 23rd?
Twenty-third is the day before Thanksgiving.
Right, got it.
that
Okay.
November.
I know,
why is
every
that
year,
wrong?
November is, I know.
Time on learning. We need all the time on learning. we
No,
can get.
that-
They're like, please send them.
No, but that November does look a little
It's always the way.
haphazard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Well, you know, the election doesn't help us there.
They'll move that.
Is November the only conference at the middle high school? Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
But then you can
Middle and high school
schedule,
do it together.
but then
Right,
you,
right.
you can schedule
But where
one.
Pembroke is.
Pembroke's trimester, so,
Right, so
so
it's
that's when you go
different,
in, that's why you go
Doesn't
into
it?
December
There's
for that.
spring parent-teacher conferences too at the middle high school.
If you want them.
At
By
the-
request.
Yes,
Yeah.
Right.
yes, right.
If, by appointment.
5 point.
Sorry,
So if
they
you
never
go to
stick the
December,
times.
okay, so December, Christmas falls on a Sunday this year. Okay, so in order to do the holidays, the recommendation that we're making is that we have no school on Friday, the 23rd. So you, kids would get out full day on the 22nd. They go full day, not
Right.
half day,
Yep.
full day. 23rd, which is the Friday, Christmas Eve is Saturday, and Christmas is Sunday. So Friday would count as for the holidays,
Vacation day.
for the well, it satisfies the Christmas Eve holiday.
Yep.
Do we have to have a Christmas
Yes,
Eve
it's in the
holiday?
contracts.
Oh.
So yes, you do.
Okay.
And the same thing happens on the other end of it, right? So the recommendation would be that children get out on the 22nd. There's no school on the 23rd. Then you would go, so obviously we have Christmas. Then you go to January. So again, the same thing happens. So the first is on a Sunday, so the second is the holiday.
So they'll have 11 days off.
Probably. I didn't count it up. Counts
11.
weekends. Counts weekends.
with the weekends.
It's actually a very, this is actually one of the shortest configurations that you ever see the school calendar take in terms of
Yeah.
vacations.
Well, when
It's
they
mostly
happened
weekends,
on-
mostly weekends.
Remember when they
Last year
happened
was
on
2 weeks.
Wednesday?
Yeah,
I think the year before that it was 2
yeah,
weeks.
it's mostly,
Yeah, it happened
yeah.
like a Wednesday.
So students would return to school on Tuesday the 3rd.
Okay.
Okay, then you have an MLK Day, which is, and then February is the, break. Although there's where we were trying to get a February half-day for the PD, early in the month. Then March is again a parent conference month for, oh, sorry.
And there's a half day on the 8th that doesn't have an asterisk though.
Oh, Laura, how did we miss that?
March 8th?
As we went through this thing. March 8th, it's a half-day PD day.
Doesn't have an asterisk on it, that's all.
Really, so then the 24th shouldn't though. We went over all these, I don't know why this is, I don't think the 24th should have an asterisk. So let's just look at that month together again. So the 8th is a PD, half-day. Then they have the elementary conference on the 16th, and then I think that's it for the month.
What about the high school? No, that's
Um,
earlier.
Peter, in terms of March 16th, in March, do you sorry, Peter, you're over there. I was looking over there. Do you have conferences in the month of March for middle and high school? High school only, and is it just in the evening or it's a release? Okay.
It says in the
Okay, so it's
note.
elementary parent conference. They have early release.
You talking March?
And do you have,
Yeah.
you have evening conferences then too, Margaret? Yes. Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is not clear. So elementary parent conference has early release and evening conferences. And then high school,
Same day?
Only evening.
Peter, the same day?
All the same day?
Yes, I think so.
I don't know, the high school just at night.
Yes, on
Right.
the same date as the elementary release.
I don't know when they really look at
Is-
it. The reason why it's just the high school at night is because the middle school feel that there's so many parents in the fall that wanna meet middle school teachers, they
Yeah.
do 2
2
days.
days.
So they do their 2 days right off the bat.
You wouldn't have conferences on a Friday night, right?
No.
I'm just trying to think why
No,
this
that-
24th would be asterisk.
Cause you know what?
It's just an error.
It's just an error.
That's why
Okay.
we're going through this very
So
carefully.
the high school are they getting early release on the 16th?
No,
No.
just at
Okay,
night.
just the Pelham, so it's just a night
High
thing.
school evening only.
So I do have a question for you though, in terms of half-day, when we have half-day PDs at
Yep.
the middle high school.
Yes.
Do you, change the schedule so that the kids only have content classes? Or are they
No,
still?
we can't, content classes are across the board in the high school. They're all 7 periods.
So if they go on a half-day,
Rotate,
it's
we
just gonna be
rotate.
whatever their rotating
You
schedule
don't
is?
always miss the same periods.
But you don't try to get every class in, you,
We can't,
Yeah.
cause
No.
it's,
well, it wouldn't be one.
okay, we could do
No, but I
that
was
in the
wondering if
middle
they,
school.
if they just did like the math, English, social, you know, if
Oh,
they
yeah,
just
yeah.
did the main courses and,
Good
you know,
question.
didn't have that time with, say, gym.
You can't do that because
Okay.
there's a gym class, all 7 periods.
Okay.
The middle school, you could do it.
In middle school? Yeah. Okay.
All right.
That's, okay. I'm just
that
not,
make
I'm
sense?
I'm just not a fan of the half-day PDs. I think I've talked
I
to the
know.
superintendent about that.
I know.
I just sometimes feel like the half-day, I know you end up, it goes towards a full day
It
of
does, it
school.
counts.
I understand that, but I just, you know, a half-day to me, I wonder just how the engagement is with the kids.
Well, what's
Can
your
you
thought
speak
on-
for that? I'd love to ask you that. Yeah, why aren't we talking about it when we have someone right here?
Oh, yeah.
So when you have a half-day at school, do you feel like, yay, it's a half-day, like,
Yeah.
well, of course you would feel that way, but do you feel like it's,
Do you pay the same kind of attention to your teachers? Do you expect yourself
Yeah,
to?
I think.
none of your teachers are here. So it depends.
Peter is.
Yeah, but it's televised.
Still a camera for a minute?
There's no way to.
Okay. How do you
Put her
feel
on the
about them?
spot.
No, I don't mind them. I think sometimes you end up with, just depending on how the schedule, sometimes you end up with a couple electives, or other times you end up with every single one of your core classes. So I think personally I end up paying more attention because I know I get out at 11.
Okay. That's a
But
perspective.
I think for the most people, some people are like, oh, I wish our half days started at 11 so we can sleep in and then.
Oh, has that ever been a thought?
What?
Having a half days, having the teachers do the PD in the morning and have the kids come in at 11
Oh,
or
yeah,
2?
that's done in a lot of schools.
So have we ever thought of that?
I think the challenge has been that, I don't know if that would work for the elementary, the same. It would work for the high school probably,
Mhm.
obviously late start to school, right?
Yeah.
But we use the same transportation, so we'd have to look at the transportation costs, but yeah, lots of places do that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and the teachers act like, that's still like a normal day of school.
They might have
Content
a
and stuff.
test.
Yeah.
Or something.
Oh yeah. If you have the class, you'll have homework tests, stuff like that. So.
Okay, I appreciate you giving us that insight, because it does change my mind, because I don't know, I just felt like it was maybe not as productive.
Yeah. No. Same.
Can I I hate to digress, but one thing that always kind of came up for me as a teacher when we did those late night conferences, the ones in November and the one in March,
Yep.
is maybe in one case, maybe like the one where the middle high school also has evening conferences, could you do a full day professional day the next day?
Well,
And I don't know if that's possible.
we could, except if we're using the election days as our full days, that would be very difficult to do.
Okay.
If we weren't doing the election days, then we could
Right.
certainly put them,
But
cause
something
I
to
see
think-
I see the value of that.
Just because as a teacher,
Yeah.
I remember leaving the building after 9 o'clock often
Yeah.
to come home, and then I want to be at my best for the kids the next morning at 8:40.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
professional development is very important, and you have to be attentive and on.
Oh, yeah,
But
makes sense.
those evening conferences are
Yeah, it's a long day.
as important as they
Right.
are. They're very grueling.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're
So
draining.
for the future,
Yeah, we can definitely take a look at it.
something to
Yeah, that's a good idea.
for the future, something to think about.
yeah.
I guess.
Yep.
So it might not work this year, but something to think about.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, it's like, we have to figure out which the drivers are. So if we don't wanna say that we're gonna have the town election days off, then we can put the PD days wherever we want, right? But that would just mean that we would have school on those days and, it's,
Right. Well, and in that case, to me, it seems more important for the safety and well-being of the kids on an important election day not to be there.
yeah.
So, but
Yeah, I
just
can see
some-
both sides.
I can see,
They're
yeah,
both
they're
pretty
both,
important.
they're both
Yeah, they're both
competing
good.
interests, and they're both important.
something to
yeah.
think about.
So this
yeah.
December 8th needs to be asterisked, right? December
Yes, yes,
Needs
but
to
not
have
the
a-
24th.
But not the 24th.
And then
Oh, yes.
December 9th would be an example of a day that you're talking about, that would be good for a full day.
What was
PD
that,
day.
Pam?
Yes.
December 9th would be
December
like the
9th.
full day.
Because
after.
December 8th is the elementary
Yeah,
parent
right, that would be an
conference.
example, right?
Right.
That would be an example. I
Mhm.
would think that probably the March one would be more effective because the high school teachers were also there late.
Right.
So have the 17th
You
be a
know.
full day, right?
Right.
Yeah, so again, that's really a decision if you want us to not do the election. We just don't, we can't add,
Right.
we can't add
Just throw
3
it.
more full days, because
No.
we have a contract with the
Well,
teachers.
what is the importance here then?
What's more important?
What is more important that, you can certainly make a motion to, change that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something to think
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
just.
I think honestly that the teachers,
They're both great.
I think the compromise here is
positions,
that the teachers have some half-days, which they were asking for. So I know they'd love to have that day after, but I think if there's an accommodation made, that there's more opportunity for professional development time built into the calendar, so they can do the things that now they're having to do after school or on their own time. You know, I think, you know, maybe that's how we're gonna weigh it, but we should definitely keep it in mind, Cheryl, for the future.
Do we always have the same number of election days?
No, I don't think
May,
so.
September, and
I don't think so.
November.
Is that true, Laura? I
Yeah,
think
no,
a couple
because
of years
we
we've
only
had two, or even one. But
because
thi-
of the
I think
this
we
is
always
a
have
big one with the
November and May.
presidential.
We
You
always
don't
have,
usually have March, I think.
March is the primary, right? So that's, or the,
Oh, right.
the
Well,
Super Tuesday,
Well, that's
so-
this year, though.
that's
that's
this year. Right, well, as I said, we don't have it
but-
Yeah.
most years.
but I don't know if we
think the
always
state
have
of-
one in September.
We always have at least one.
In
It's
September.
usually the May one, because that's the town election.
Yeah, so you probably have I don't know.
We almost always have, we
You
always
have May.
So,
yeah.
but 3 is relatively a lot.
3 is a lot. This is the exception.
Yeah, typically there's maybe two,
Yeah.
the November
Yeah.
one and the May one.
Yeah, yes, I agree with that. So April, there's a half-day PD and then there's Good Friday. And Good Friday,
Oh,
for the
so
first
that doesn't
time,
have
butts
an
up
asterisk.
against the April vacation.
So April 5th needs an asterisk.
Yes, I got, yeah. And April 14th is the early release,
Okay.
and it, you know, it's sort of right before vacation, so the kids will like that.
And that is not a half-day PD day, Good
No,
Friday.
no, that's that's just
A
a
half
release
day.
day.
Yeah, release.
And has that ever been considered to be for a full day off, Good
I
Friday?
think,
Because a lot of schools
I
do.
think there, over the years, it's kinda gone back and forth. Yeah,
For full
I mean,
day
it,
versus
yeah,
half.
yeah.
I'm good with it.
I think, remember at one point the MASS put out that whole list of, you know, they looked at calendars, how many places start before and after Labor Day.
Oh, yeah.
One
they
of
had
them
the-
was the Good Friday.
yeah.
The Good Friday, how many would do half days or how many do full days.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is a half day there. And then, May is, there's your town election again, the full day, and then Memorial Day, and then June, so if this is a calendar we adopt, the seniors' last day would be May 31st. Graduation would be June 3rd, and the last projected day of school would be June 14th. That's the 180 days. And then, you know, we always have to build in the 5 additional in case we get snow, which this year we've been luckier. But that would bring us to June 20th with the 5 required days that we build in.
Okay.
And of course, we can do other iterations if you'd like to see other,
Does that actually build in 4 days? The 15th, 16th,
15,
19th,
16.
20th?
Oh,
It'd be the 24th,
it should-
21st.
oh, I guess it would be the 21st. Laura and I went over this like a zillion times. I don't know how it ended up being
Fresh eyes.
in this situation, but fresh eyes,
Fresh
right.
eyes. So the
So the
21st.
21st would be
5
the
days.
Thank you, Cheryl.
elementary math teacher. So that's kinda where we, and if you wanna just think about it, and, you know, we can put it on the next, the 10th, March 10th.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So the main change we have here is October 19th for a half-day PD day going to October 7th before the Columbus Day weekend.
If that is one thing you wanna do.
Yeah, I think we should change that,
So October,
because I have always heard people say that. It's a great.
yeah, Columbus Day is
Longer
a long,
sense.
of many of them would be more likely to
Yeah.
be one
They'll
people
just
might
keep
go
them out of
away.
school. Yeah.
Okay,
That's-
thank you.
Okay.
And, probably I just wanna make sure, this little chart in here, remember Michael
Yeah.
was asking about that? He was asking about school
School
choice
choice, yeah.
history and when we took kids in. So all we did here is we did a little historical, bye-bye, we did a little historical thing, so FY 13, 14, 15, and 16 by grade. Well, I think he was asking about that one year, and Margaret was saying, no, we took kids that year, that was 2015. We opened 10 kindergarten slots and filled 8 of them.
Yeah.
We opened 5 second grades and filled 3. We opened 2 thirds and filled 2. And then we opened 5 sixths and got 1.
So, looking at this, the first thing that comes to my mind is the opening up the 10 in school choice for the FY17
Yes.
and not getting those 10. So
Yeah,
that's another budgetary downfall
that's
that
a-
we will be
that's a
in,
factor,
because,
yep.
and Michael, I think, brought it up, who's to say that we will get those 10?
You don't know.
I know.
I mean,
So
at
that-
the
but
ninth
that's
grade,
just-
you're little more likely if we do the ninth grade, then you can see what happens when you open up the elementary grades.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't, because obviously we're looking at potentially cutting at the elementary level, so we would not. I mean, I don't envision, except for at the ninth grade level, and I'd have to have Peter look at the 10th grade to see if there's, wiggle room there, but I wouldn't see any other places.
So the 10 that we're opening up
Be high
Is-
school.
They're gonna be the current second grade next year, correct? Those
The-
kids?
The kids that came in 15,
Yeah, which is why those numbers are low, right? Is that right?
the numbers in
Well, the-
projected in second grade next year were low.
Right, so, obviously, when they entered kindergarten, the numbers were low, so you said, oh, I can open up 10 spots.
Right, that's why we did it, yeah.
Okay.
but the 10 that we're opening up next year at the high school.
Right, well, we'll look at the enrollment when we get to the school choice discussion with you, or, I wanted to follow up because
Yeah.
Michael asked the question when we were looking at the budget book last time.
Right, so this year we opened 10, we got 7.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. I'm
okay,
just,
so that's just a follow-up
yeah,
for you.
thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Just putting another thing in the motion.
Yeah, mind. Oh, transparency, right? We're trying to answer the question.
Okay. Thank you for including the, Hello Dolly,
Yeah. I
article,
know,
because they
yeah.
did do a great job.
It
I've
was
heard so
so
many
good.
people say how great it was.
So
It
good.
was terrific.
So
It was really
I
amazing.
commend
Amazing
that.
job.
And I do just wanna say, I did send Peter an email this morning. I do just wanna take a minute to say that, Pam and I both attended the junior, parent meeting last night.
Oh,
And
yes.
I just wanna say, publicly that I thought it was very well attended. And both Erin and Julia from the guidance office at the high school, at the middle high school, did, a tremendous job in putting
College
me
information night.
at ease. They,
Yeah.
So it's a
they
job.
answered a lot of questions,
Yes,
and I
they
thought that they
and
did
trained
a
a very-
great job.
I totally agree.
feel like they're in
They
good
did
hands.
Very, very good job. You know, it's an exciting
It's
adventure
exciting, but
ahead,
it's very,
but
it's very
a little-
nerve-wracking,
It's nerve-wracking,
yeah.
yes it is.
Yeah.
I know, yeah.
So they did a great job,
It's a
so I
long
hope,
process.
Oh, that's good.
the principal will let them know how happy we were with that.
Yes.
Duly noted.
Okay, homework policy,
Yeah.
I'll go to
Yes.
subcommittee reports at the end. Let's do the homework policy.
Okay, one of the things that we wanted to, I think, really include in there was that homework should not count for more than 10% of the student's grade, because I think that was a concern, that it was counting for different amounts in different classes and
Yes, I think, yeah.
whatnot. So along with the policy, we're including the guidelines, which are part of the handbook. And this has to be changed
Right.
to go with the policy,
We have
because
to-
it does say 20% in here.
Really? Well, on this first page.
Right
Yeah.
on the first page.
The first page, right?
Yes.
Where it says way
Yeah.
homework.
So it
Well,
would be.
there's two lines,
20%.
one doesn't make sense, the other needs to be changed. It says weight homework up to 20% of the final grade.
Okay.
And the new policy
That's
says
what
more
we're
than
gonna do.
10%.
We just
Yes,
needed
so
something
we'll fix
consistent
that.
across.
Yep.
But
what
that
we-
starts in 4th grade.
Yes, yes. Beginning. Why don't we just say that? We'll put it in here.
There it is, beginning in 4th.
Yep, and then in the guidelines, two below that, research recommends that homework should count for 10% of the weighted grade, and thus the district acknowledges that homework should not count for more than 20%.
So it should be 10%.
Yeah,
What does
that
that
makes
mean?
sense.
Yeah,
that's
So
what
that
makes
needs
sense.
to be.
Yeah, these
removed.
guidelines came from like a lot of different sources, as you can see.
So that has to be.
So yes,
We'll
so
just,
we'll
get
clean
rid of that one.
So I'm wondering if we need both of those though. Maybe we just get rid of weight homework up to
Yeah.
10%, right? Cause it sort of says it in the line below, doesn't it?
Well, that whole one about research recommend, that,
Yeah,
I
no,
would say
that
all
should
that
go.
should go.
Oh, you want
That
that to
should be
go?
deleted.
You want that to go, okay.
Leave the one where it says weigh homework up to 10%.
Okay, got it.
With fourth grade there.
Beginning in fourth grade, right.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And that's in the
We can
policy.
easily make that change, that's easy.
So the article that you included with that, the 5 hallmarks of good homework, I thank you for,
It's very interesting.
yeah, it was very interesting, and I do just wanna speak speak about that for just a second. For one of the hallmarks, and Cheryl, maybe as a teacher, you can, I'm gonna ask you to put your teacher hat on for a minute. So under Hallmark for competence, and it goes on to say that, all students should feel competent that they should be able to perform their homework on their own.
Yep.
Right? Because really it is supposed to be a repetition of what they learned that day. So, is that something that, so it says here, like struggling students may require fewer questions, less complex problems, fewer steps, less reading. So how often is that actually done, say at the elementary level, where you as a teacher would recognize, okay, you know, if you were these kids, it might be a little stretch?
Well, I think, and part of the guidelines talk about differentiating homework for kids as
Absolutely.
needed.
Right.
And it should be happening. I know for myself, I always encouraged the kids to come to me. Of course, I was more of an upper grade teacher, but if there was a problem, if I knew ahead of time, I could make adjustments one-on-one with a child.
Okay.
It's not, you do.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
You
because-
do this and Johnny will do this.
Well, and-
Right, it
and-
would be more something that you would take them aside or speak with
Right.
the parents about.
Right.
And
There's a
I,
lot of anxiety that goes into homework, so
I
you have
know.
to know which ones that you can work with to sort of modify it a bit, so that they're still understanding and learning what they're supposed to be, but having that pressure taken off.
Right, but also having that self-confidence
Absolutely.
that they can
Right,
do
because
it.
that
Right.
once they accomplish it, then they feel the confidence.
Yes.
Well, and
Right.
one of the things too that we really tried to hit home in the policy was how critical communication between home and school
Yes.
Right.
I was just
is.
gonna,
That was a huge
yeah.
part of the policy, that if there are struggles, it's a team effort.
Because I remember when my kids were in Pembroke, the teachers would say that if the child was struggling and couldn't finish it within a certain period of time, I mean,
Yeah.
depending on the
Yeah.
assignment, if
Just write a
they've
note.
worked hard, right, just, write a note, or talk to them about what the struggles are, or, if a child can't do more than 15 minutes, then that's,
Well, and if that was
without a meltdown, without a, despair and
Well, and
angst and
if
all the
that's
rest.
consistently happening, then that's when
Teacher
the
needs
teacher
to know
needs to
about that.
adjust.
Right.
The assignment and think about the differentiating part.
Okay. That's good. I do,
Does that make sense?
Can I-
yeah, I liked this article. I would love
These are ones that we gathered when we were working with different homework
Yeah.
Committees.
Can you post that? Can you post it?
The article?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. What, you're talking about the hallmarks of excellence. and-
Exactly,
Yes.
yeah,
Sure.
I think it's interesting, and I think, it
Well,
brings
we'll
in
put something
perspective.
on the blog about, the homework policy was revised and,
Yeah.
so we
That
can
would be
definitely
great.
add the article.
But I did, that article was
Yeah.
very,
Yeah, all this
Insightful.
background information is very, very interesting, and I know you guys have worked really
Very
hard
hard.
on this policy, and I think it's a great policy. I have to say though, there's just one sentence that I take a little bit of exception to. It says, homework is not to be used as a form of punishment under any circumstances. The word punishment always reverberates in my mind. I hope that the discipline that the schools employ never really use punishment per se. I mean, I think more of consequences, I think more of follow-up, I think of restorative justice. You know, when a child has misbehaved or done something, that we want them to think about that, or to be able to talk about whoever else is involved in it, you know, about the incident, to make sure that it doesn't happen again. We need to teach skills, we need to teach, you know, social skills and behavioral skills and all those kind of things. You know, so I was thinking there might be some occasions when it could be appropriate, for a child who had, at various different ages, had offended another child or something, to write a letter of apology or write a reflective piece. I mean, I can just imagine. So I wouldn't want that to be perceived as a form of punishment, because in a sense it,
But
in a
that wouldn't
sense
be
it is.
homework.
Well, is it
That
it
has
work
nothing
that-
to do with what they're learning or the content.
No, not from a teacher, but it is work that maybe is expected to be done at home and then brought in, so a parent could see that as homework.
Do you want,
Homework is,
do you feel that that
I'd
should
just
be
like to
added into the policy?
strike
The word punishment?
Personally,
Well, I think in,
I'd just
in-
like to strike that.
I think the
No.
The whole
spirit,
paragraph?
the spirit of the line had to do with, you know, if kids are talking in class, all right, you've got 2 more pages of homework tonight, because you were talking while I was talking. That was the spirit of that, I think.
Oh, right.
So, but I see your point.
Beginning in the
I don't know
fourth
if I
grade
do.
homework assignments.
I think it's been, I think it was part of the
Why,
MASC
do you
policy.
think, I mean, do you
too.
think that punishment per se, I mean, the word is just like, just doing some, you know, I don't like
Do you wanna
that.
say consequences?
Yeah.
Or
What?
is that better,
Negative
consequences?
Is not
Or not
used
even
as
have it.
Negative consequence.
Well,
That first sentence.
I just don't like the sentence, because what if, like I said, what if there's a time when it is appropriate to have a student write something at home and then bring it back in?
Because you're saying that it may not be the content, the homework may not, it's not in relation to what they learned that day, but it is a social,
Well,
and
what
it
if you
wouldn't learned.
Pam, would it help you,
homework.
would it help you if it says
But it's not
homework
gonna count
should
as
not be
10%.
used as a form of punishment?
That's what it says.
No, it doesn't. It says
No,
it
it says-
is
oh.
not to be
It is
used
not
under
to be
any
used.
circumstances. It's very
Oh.
different in my mind.
Okay,
So
and you're
if
saying
I'm-
homework should
I'm saying
not
if you
be-
say homework should not be used as punishment. So
Okay.
that doesn't mean it's
Okay.
never used. It's, you know, it,
Should
don't we agree it shouldn't be used as punishment? So
Well, I don't think students should ever be punished. I don't.
Well, okay, well, then
I
that's
think
that's a totally different
we have,
discussion.
you know, we have consequences, follow-ups, and restorative justice. To me, they're very
And you and
different.
I think we'd all agree on that, but kids will still see it as punishment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, but that doesn't mean we have to see it. Just because they see it
We
or they
don't.
call it
We
something
don't.
doesn't mean that we have to.
But the
see it
message
that
here is
way.
supposed to be strong to teachers and parents that if you're gonna give a kid a consequence,
Mhm.
whatever word we wanna use, if you wanna restore their justice, all that,
Right.
that's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
But
It's
homework
not.
should not be
Right.
the reason to do it.
Okay, and I'm saying, well, what if they interpret some kind of consequence of writing a letter of apology as homework? What if a parent interprets that as
We don't
homework?
generally award consequences of you write a letter of apology. Usually that comes organically from
reflective
the
piece.
circumstance.
A
And
reflective
it,
piece.
you know, I mean,
Well, and it's sort of in the moment when you take it home after
Yeah.
so many hours. So, however, they're going to socially work it out. I would say it's usually done then.
Okay,
So,
so you hear my thought
Yes,
and
of
my
course.
Yes.
issue with this
So,
sentence.
but do you want it, does the committee want to soften the language a little and still keep the intent, which is to
Throw
communicate?
something out there, Pam,
Let's see.
and we can,
Regular homework are,
content, homework.
content homework is not to be used. So, you know, you wouldn't say to a student, well, because you were loud in class, you were interrupting or something, that this child, everybody has 2 pages of, or 10 math problems, but you're gonna have 15. You know, that's what the intention is, to stop that kind of.
That's, you're right, that
That would be
Okay.
punishment.
So,
but that's why we put it in there.
or a consequence.
Right, you would think the
but
teacher
it-
would
So
know
do
that
you wanna
that's
just change the
punishment and
word
it
from
shouldn't be.
punishment to consequence? Is that?
Just see
a
how
little
We
it
could
bit-
use
reads.
consequence, and how about making it content homework? Because I personally think it might be appropriate. No?
I can't.
Yeah, I don't know if I
So
like
you
the
don't
word
think it's
content
ever
in front of it.
appropriate to have a student
don't.
like go home and write a reflective piece or?
From the teacher, I don't.
Not
think
as
so.
homework.
Not as homework.
From the teacher, I don't.
Not, this is like homework. This is
Well,
like,
say you wanted a student, I'm sorry to belabor this. Say you wanted a
you
student.
might lose this battle.
Yeah,
You're right, go, I wanna hear
Say
what
you
you're
wanted
saying.
a student to write a reflective piece
Yeah.
as a part of restorative
Yeah.
justice. You'd want them to write that in school and not at home?
Yes.
Yes.
When in school?
When you send them out.
punished.
When you send them out in the hall.
Lunch? Out in the hall, in between classes.
Oh, no. I'm kidding.
And then they're missing what's going on in the class.
detention or what?
I don't see a problem with having them
I just-
write it at home and
I
then
would not
bringing
have
it
my
back
child
to
write it.
school
It's
the
not
next-
homework. It has nothing to do with content. And I know what you're getting at, that this is like a, like a social piece of misjustice or something like that.
Right.
But I think there are other ways to deal with that in school, which is
just
why
as
you
important.
have. It's just as
So
important.
you want
social etiquette.
Yes,
reflective
please.
pieces
Yes,
to
let's
be
hear
written
Margaret.
in
Margaret has to
school.
say about
Okay.
In my 6 years in this district, I think there was one time that in discussion with a teacher, a child did write a letter of apology to somebody, but, we.
Under the
had-
teacher's direction?
The teacher, in the discussion with the child, the teacher did ask the child, hey, and the child said yes, that they were sorry and they wrote a letter.
Okay.
But that, I don't see that as punishment, but generally, that's one time in all the years, that when children do a reflection, it is often during their recess time,
Okay.
so it's during the school day. And so
Which there's a whole nother movement
Exactly, I was just gonna say, let's not even talk about that, because I'll have,
recess.
I'll have some problem with that.
Ms. Doran nor I would ever ask a child to do that for homework.
I mean, I see this happening at
Just
the high
because
school
it's
level as well. I'm not just picturing this as but okay.
And a teacher
All right,
wouldn't
can we
ask
at
the
least
child to do it.
to me, the word punishment is like 20 or 30 years old in terms of how we teach children skills to move forward with, to be a productive part of society.
Well, but can I just jump in? I think it's not, we weren't saying children are punished, we don't want them to be punished, so.
Right.
We're guarding against
But it sounds like, so we would use other forms of punishment, but we wouldn't use homework for punishment.
Oh, well, that's,
Well,
this is a homework
yeah,
policy,
see, I'm
though,
totally,
Pam.
Okay.
when you guys say no kid should be punished, I mean, I don't know if I
No,
go
no,
that.
no.
Well, I'm
That's not what it's
saying,
saying.
I'm not,
I think
I'm
that there
not,
are
I'm
kids
not
that need to be
saying
punished.
that,
With a smile.
well,
Well, I
Kids
think
need to be punished.
the
but-
spirit
this is
too
a
is that
well, we need to have consequences, we need to have discussion, we need to have learning, we need to have learning as we move forward to
We're
do
talking
better
about
and do
homework.
something different.
We're talking about homework.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So
I think at this point,
if I'm
Pam, you are gonna
outvoted,
lose.
if I'm outvoted, that's fine. All
So
right, then
I
let
am
the
gonna
record
move-
stand, I do not like
Yeah,
that
and you
word.
can
Okay.
abstain, or you can say no. But I am gonna,
Okay.
But do you wanna take under any circumstances out? I'm just trying to figure out, like, I thought I heard that was, I thought that's where you were
well,
going,
the
Pam.
no, the
that you
punishment
were-
was the.
Well, but I thought where she was really going was,
Under any circumstances?
cause
Well,
that-
if you're just gonna say homework is not to be used as a form of punishment, period.
that's what, I thought that was gonna make you happier.
It would, but I still think, I mean, it basically means the same thing.
Well, it's
Okay.
it's much stronger to say under any circumstance.
Okay, all right, then may I
Strike that.
request if we take out under any
There you go.
I lost my place.
Well, homework, so homework,
consequence.
now, is not is
Thank
much
you.
stronger than should not. So is it is not or
Okay,
should not?
let's put in should not. Let's just try to soften it up a little bit.
Why does it need to be
Okay.
softened?
Let's not.
I just need
We're
to.
trying to
I'm
find
sorry
the
if I
balance
haven't
here.
made myself clear. I apologize.
Oh, I think
Should
you have.
not be used as, but would we all agree?
But now you're leaving it open. When you say the should not is like, oh, it could.
I do agree there.
Okay?
I do agree
I'm
there.
just going black and white here.
Okay.
Should not is definitely leaving it.
All right, listen,
Okay.
it's fine
Keep
with
it
me
as
either
not.
way. I have no dog in this fight.
Isn't to be used as a form.
You know,
All right,
A punishment is concerned with retaliation. It's concerned with wanting to hurt the child, the person who has done something wrong. It's not,
And
punishment
what this is
not
saying is, that's never acceptable.
with learning and moving forward.
is not used
Just is not to be used as a
as a-
form of punishment, period.
As a form of punishment,
Yeah.
period.
Strike under
Okay.
any circumstances.
We're done there.
So the chair will entertain a motion to approve the revised policy file IKB homework with the modification of,
and the changes.
on that, yeah,
Changes in the
okay, with
handbook.
guidelines.
And I'm
following
gonna- and we're gonna
modifications,
make the
removing under
changes.
any circumstance in the second to last paragraph, as well as striking under meaningful homework practices included, where it states weigh homework up to 20%, it will say up to 10%
For
for fourth grade and higher,
Beginning of fourth grade.
and then strike this completely.
and strike the third from the last bullet completely.
Great.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone not in favor? Okay, so 3-1.
Okay. I don't mind being in the minority.
Laura, did you have a question for
Although
me?
otherwise, I think it's a great policy. Just that one sentence. You did a great, don't misunderstand. I appreciate all the rest of it.
You have such great insight.
Well,
I
thank
appreciate you, Pam.
You're right. But we don't
Um,
all have to agree. It's perfectly fine.
Thank you for the time you put into that.
Just share our thoughts.
So now we also have the transportation survey that the governance subcommittee has been working on, and I thought that looked great.
Yeah, and we plugged away.
Yeah, it
at
sounds
that
like it.
as well, and
Yeah.
talked about a lot of
this is
different
terrific.
scenarios.
Is that good, Pam?
It is, except I just have a question. Did we decide not to ask about the Longview apartment stop?
Well, I
Is that-
think,
We have to do this first to find out.
well, but as far as, the Longview apartment stop, that's not going to be a centralized stop.
Okay.
What it will be is a bus will drop off its regular run at Pembroke. Then to make that express run, it would go to the Longview Apartments, collect all those kids, then zip over to Pearlie,
Collect those kids.
where that's the only centralized location. We were talking about, or in my head, we were talking about both
Yes.
being centralized locations, but I don't think that
Okay.
is.
I just,
So just
Okay.
the background information on this, right, is we're looking at this because we had the forum and we had people that had raised some concerns or questions. This survey will just be completed by the people who live within the 1.5 mile
Or closer.
or closer.
Right, so the people that aren't eligible currently for a bus.
Yes, that live within that parameter. Then, and this is just elementary only. And what we're doing here is we're not saying we're going to do this. We're saying we wanna assess the need. So that's why we'll post it on the website, we'll get all the results, we'll put it in SurveyMonkey, we'll get all the results, and then we'll be able to look at it again. In order to do this, we still have our 5 buses.
Right.
Unless we hear overwhelmingly on the one about the fee, that people are willing to pay the money to get the 6 bus and pay,
A lot of
per
money.
student, but,
Right.
that's the question. So that's what this is. This is gonna, and so what we're doing is if you approve it tonight, then we wanna get this in SurveyMonkey, get it out, and we'll do a connected message or something to just make sure people know it's on the website. And then we wanna see if people can get it back to us by March 11th.
That's a long time to run that survey, don't you think?
Well, we gave ourselves a little time to get the thing formatted and get it up.
So it was actually like 2 weeks,
It's
right?
2 weeks usually.
Yeah, I always thought they said surveys should be, cause if people see it once and they don't do it then, they're less likely to go back.
I
and look
agree,
at it.
but we
Yeah,
don't
but 2
wanna
weeks,
have
I don't
people
think
not see it,
Right.
for
No, I
whatever
know.
reason, and then
Let's
say,
hope that-
you never gave me enough time to do it.
some people could have a crazy week and just
No, I
write it
just
on the
had
website and then
A
the
question
next
about
week.
this option 2.
Yes.
So the option 2 is pretty much self-funding a bus.
That's right.
Yep.
So if it's $780 per student to do that, is there gonna be any discount for people that have more than one child? Or is that not
Again,
feasible
I think,
financially?
I don't think we talked about that.
Okay,
I think we were just trying to see if that was even
Right,
interesting to
right.
anybody.
Right, because if we get no,
Yeah, if
so
you
we'll
get
have to
crazy.
figure that out.
If we got a
when
lot of
get
people that were interested, then we'd probably say, well, you know what, to be fair, you know.
Talk about a family
Yeah,
cap.
what would, like a family
Yeah,
cap.
family cap,
Right.
because that is
It's a
crazy.
huge
Yeah,
amount.
it's expensive,
Which,
but
yeah.
you never know, there might be people
Well,
out there that are
again, it was just
interested in it.
assessing need and assessing interest, right? So, you know, we'll see what happens.
Okay, yeah, I can tell the time it took, I appreciate it, I think it's a quick survey, gets the questions out there that need to be, answered, and then I'm very interested to see
The results.
what the results will be.
And then we have that on the school committee meeting, that our little topics have had to be revised several times. We said that we were gonna talk about the recommendations, where do we put it? Oh, no, where did we put that? I know we put it in here, Barbie.
And the orange
Must
note
have
says
been.
the March 24th.
Okay, so March 24th is, yep, transportation
March
recommendation, thank you, 24th. So we'll get the results back on the 11th,
And have
and
them up
then
in-
we'll have an opportunity to look at them and then, you know, be able to meet and talk about whether or not we can do something.
Okay, do we have to approve the survey?
I think we were just trying to, we wanted another set of eyes to,
Okay.
to take a look at it.
So we
and
don't have to approve it?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I don't
it
think
looks
we-
good.
So we can
Very
start
good.
sending it out then,
Yes.
is that correct?
Yeah, it sounds like, so
Okay,
now I
great.
gotta take it and get my people who are gonna help me with the
Survey
Survey
Monkey.
Monkey and figure out how to get that in that and
And then by the 24th.
get
we
information
should have
out to people.
results.
Okay, great. Okay, we have subcommittee reports. The last meeting, I didn't,
Yeah.
we didn't have any subcommittee reports, so
Oh.
I can't extend them this time. So we do have to talk about, budget and finance. I don't think I need to update that because we already had a conversation. Governance,
Well, we met on Friday afternoon right before vacation.
Yep.
And we really finalized that survey that we just looked at.
Yep.
And the homework policy, like line by line, you know, paragraph by paragraph.
Yep.
Because it's evolved over the months that we've been working on it, so. Those were the two things, and for our next meeting, which is coming up,
Well, we canceled the one that was on the 11th.
11th.
Did we reschedule it?
We did.
Okay.
I think it might be the following week, on an evening.
It's in March, right?
Yeah, I think we said it was in March,
But, and I
the
think
end of the month probably.
the
I
item
don't have-
really on the agenda is technology. Right. Policies.
We have to
Technology
tackle that.
policies?
Yes. Carol, do you have it? Because I don't have it.
I know, that's what I'm
Is
just
it the, I
checking.
have it written.
I think we did schedule one though.
But it wasn't a
Yeah.
Friday, was it?
It might not
No,
have been a Friday.
That's right,
wasn't.
that's why it's not coming up.
It, and it was like an evening.
Yes, it was. Well,
I have
we'll find it for you.
Monday, March 14th at
That's right,
6 p.m.
I've got it.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
there it is.
Yes, I have meeting.
Monday, March 14th.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, at 6:30, at 6
Six.
o'clock.
Yep.
Yeah.
Feel better, Joe?
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, Tom.
Good night.
Well, we know how to clear a room.
Wow.
Subcommittee.
Drove everybody crazy, huh?
So, negotiations, how is that going?
Good. We,
Yeah?
we had two meetings?
Yes.
Two meetings.
2 meetings. We just met this past Tuesday,
Mm-hmm.
and GSA presented more proposals. We're at the end of the proposals and now the negotiating.
Yeah, we've been going back and forth on some things and, yeah, I mean, it's been very, it's been a good conversation.
Good. And so when's the next meeting?
March 15th is
March
the next meeting,
15th?
we're meeting with GSA.
Okay.
Yes.
Right, yep, that's the day after, yeah.
Right, so yeah, we'll meet again before that.
Public relations?
Frankly,
I don't
kind
think
of-
have we met since?
No, we haven't met for a while. I didn't realize that tonight, as I was preparing, that we didn't give the subcommittee reports last meeting.
time.
So when
So
I
you
looked at
brought
the
your-
calendar,
right,
I thought, oh, we already talked about that, but no. But, thinking about it, we district measures, remember district, measures of excellence, and I
Did we
think.
talk about
We did. I think I gave you a draft and we talked, and you were gonna come up with a draft of your own and bring it back before we present it to the school committee.
I'll take a look at my notes
Using
on that.
what we suggested.
Okay. I don't remember that conversation at
That's
all,
okay.
but-
It was a
I'm
while
sure
ago.
we had it if we-
It was a while ago. And then we did, website
Measures.
briefly. It was a really quick meeting. It was a short meeting because we had things before and after. And then the website, we just, talked about things that need to be addressed. And there will be a meeting
Yeah.
on March 3rd at 11 o'clock specifically about the website
Yeah,
that I'm
we
going
scheduled that.
so hopefully to get all those loose ends.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I think that's it.
Safety, we had a meeting, we talked about the most recent episodes of bomb threats that were occurring in Massachusetts, and it seemed that they were coming closer in our area because Haverhill just recently had one. So we talked about that, we have a great working relationship with the police department, so I think that is
We're very
so
fortunate.
important during these times, so the state police, had a pamphlet that the superintendent provided all of us, just in case of, that occurring here. We talked about the Alice training, which those are going well. Pembroke had theirs, and then the Pearlie is coming up,
March 1st.
March first.
In the morning, for 4 hours in the morning. And then the middle high school is April 8th.
Okay, and you did say that we could attend the
Yeah, I
one
don't
at
think there's
Pearlie
any
if anyone's
problem if you
interested in
wanna
doing
come.
that, just
I
to,
don't think
just to
there's
take a
any-
look and,
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
yeah.
Feel free. Yeah,
Remind me
March
of
1st
the
is, and in the middle high school one will be in the afternoon. Because remember they have school in the
Right,
morning.
because of the, yeah, okay. So, what else did we talk about?
But you're more than welcome
at the
to
safety
come.
meeting?
I do have an update on the bomb thing though, just so I'll fill you in.
Oh,
quickly.
good, yeah.
So I had a meeting yesterday afternoon, I think, with administrators from the middle high school and both chiefs, both
Fire
police
and-
chief, fire and police chief, because they had gone to a meeting and the protocol from the state police has changed. So what we had to do is we've been working on it today and we'll finish probably tomorrow. We're putting together our plan, our written plan, that is in line with that pamphlet, that is gonna be approved and signed off on by myself and the two chiefs. And it follows this leveled threat assessment process, but they are, the state police do not want you to evacuate unless when you do the threat, that it's warranted.
And originally, it was saying evacuate.
And the other thing, originally it was
Oh,
saying,
right.
it was saying things like pull the fire alarm, just to get out, and now they're saying do not pull the fire alarm unless it's a
So
fire.
shelter in place.
So shelter in place, and so, but again, they do the assessment, so they're obviously not gonna have kids in the building if there's anything higher than a level 1 threat.
And do you think that is because all these are coming in so quickly and none of them have
Right.
been, well, I'd like you to just speak to that
Yes.
fact.
Yes,
About
so
the
there
bomb
have been,
threats.
it's been studied now for almost a month now. They're usually remotely,
Transmitted.
received,
Yeah.
transmitted, thank you, remotely transmitted, and there's actually been some that they've traced all the way to Russia.
I have heard.
And so, every threat is taken seriously. I don't want anybody to think, it's cry wolf. No, in every district, and I wrote actually a letter today, if I ever have to send it out, so it's ready to go, that basically will describe the threat and describe the level. But
in many cases, in the past, people would just automatically, threat comes in, and it also depends on how the threat comes in. If it comes in through email, if it comes in through phone, there's a protocol that we follow for every one of those things. And Donnie, the police chief, the police chief had a map of where the clusters of calls had been, because sometimes there's 6, 7, up to 11 in a day. Across. So there have been pockets of the state. Started out over on near South Dartmouth and that general vicinity, New Bedford, and then now then there was a cluster about around Burlington. Now there was a cluster that Haverhill was part of them in the Merrimack Valley. So our little corner of the world up here is, so we obviously always want to be planned. We actually have pieces of all of this in our crisis manual. But what we want to do is, it's in multiple places, so we're trying to pull it all into one centralized document that says, okay, if we get a bomb threat, as opposed to having to pull from different sources. And it will be completely done in coordination and conjunction, and every year we will meet with the police and fire to review it to make sure that it stays as current as possible. So, as Barbie said, we're so grateful for our relationship. I mean, they asked for a meeting, and literally, we got it together that afternoon. So, very responsive, and Heidi Monjo took the responsibility of putting the draft together. So now we're all in the process of reacting to the draft and getting it where we want. I wrote the letter just in case, so I have it drafted, ready to go, and so we're just making sure that if this were to happen here, that it's crystal clear to everybody. We've been giving the staff, remember we talked about, we have been giving the staff direction if something came into them, what they would do, and I noticed Margaret sent out a follow-up email after the meeting we had with the chiefs, confirming again, this is what you would do in this situation. So, so it's just part of our preparedness. We don't want to live in fear, because that's not the way we want to live, but we do want to be prepared. And our children's safety and staff safety are obviously job one.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay, so thank you for that, that update. Okay, late start time, committee, we do have a meeting on, Monday, the 29th.
Yep,
7 o'clock. So I can provide an update because I didn't provide one at the last meeting. So we have met, we are, again, working with the organization, Start School Later, and we are officially on Facebook. So we're gonna get the communication going throughout the community.
You're on Facebook?
Yes.
I'm gonna look it up.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, you should have got an invitation from me. I did send, did you not get it either?
Nope.
Because I did send an invitation last night.
Oh,
Cheryl
I found
got it.
it.
Oh, did you?
I did.
I
There it
sent you
is.
an
It's
invitation.
right
I sent all the school committee members an
Yes, I
invitation
got
last
it.
night because we have
Oh,
two.
as
We
an
have,
email?
Here it
Well-
is.
Very nice.
Yep.
yeah,
Very
there
nice.
it is. See?
Awesome.
Yep.
Yes.
Cheryl, sent that. Yep.
Yeah.
Great.
So what we do have is we have a group, a closed group Facebook page
Mhm.
that you'll be included in, and that will pretty much be the communication that the committee members do.
Mhm.
And we can talk amongst ourselves, and of course include the school committee on that, and then we would have the Facebook page, which will be the communication.
For the community.
With the community, where we'll post
Okay.
articles, we'll post what is going on, in the state with other districts, and how that's going. So I have been in touch with the Hamilton Wenham School Committee Chair, and he is interested in working with us to see if it is something that we could do, like a collaborative effort, because we share athletics, and that is one of the big obstacles. I sent out a
Wow.
email to Manchester, Essex, Triton, Amesbury.
Newburyport?
I tried reaching out to them too. So that's something that and Masco, I've been in touch with the woman that's handling their efforts. So I think that's what a lot of towns are doing. They're joining forces with their local communities to try and
Well, that
go
makes sense.
forward with it. But the superintendent and I met with Joe Patella and Mike Murphy the other day just to talk about union issues that that may be brought up. But where was I going? I lost my train of thought.
Maybe what their reaction, they had a positive reaction, you know, that
Oh,
didn't
well-
seem to be a significant issue in their minds around if you didn't change the length of the day.
Right, right. And Joe did just ask me, okay, so if these, say we did join forces with these towns, would we stop the effort if, you know, there was something that prevented them? And I had said, no, we would still, you know, try to move forward the best that we could in the research. And again, this is it's just research that we're doing to see if this works. This isn't like a committee that's saying, rah, rah, you know, this is what's gonna happen. We're really trying to figure out if it's something that will be able to occur. So we're meeting on the 29th, and you will find, more information about the Facebook just to get it going. But I'm surprised, I sent you an email too.
I just found
That-
it.
Okay, that.
You sent me an email
But our
to my,
Microsoft, our
Outlook?
email is not working all,
oh, my
that
Microsoft
effectively.
Outlook
You mean
is
from-
driving me
from
crazy.
From the external email, from,
yeah, the school committee email, because,
okay, I'll ask about it.
I've
It's not
sent-
reliable?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
Oh,
that
so-
email that Joan sent me about the budget, I can't find it. I mean,
Oh,
I know
yeah,
she
the
sent
one
it.
you got it,
I'm
right.
not, you know.
Yeah, 'cause
it's- Yeah, I know she.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
but
I'll look into it.
I didn't, you know,
I'll look
and then
into
I
that.
can't get on, with my phone, I cannot get onto Microsoft Outlook. And Wes and I have tried.
Really? So
Yeah.
you can't get on, you can't log on to the remote address? You know how
Right, well, I
they're
can't check my,
backslash
my
exchange?
school committee emails on my cell phone.
That's too weird.
Okay, I'll help you I'll help you after the meeting.
Okay.
'cause I mean,
Maybe-
well,
maybe-
I'm not as good
Are
as
you a
Wes,
little
so
more
he can't-
savvy?
No, I'm not, but,
Than
I
me?
originally had
Than
a
me.
problem, but I have a problem with getting it at home. I can do it fine on
Okay.
my phone, so it's
Yeah,
really
it's-
interesting.
you know,
But we are
can't
starting to
print
get
out
the
either.
stuff going,
I can't print.
the communication going, so,
So Barbie,
We
we
will-
have on March 10th, we have a late start to school update. Do you still wanna keep that, or are you feeling like what you're doing right now?
no, let's keep that.
Yeah, cause we were talking about actually putting some of the articles out, and maybe
Yeah.
the committee wanted to come, and, so we'll keep that.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's keep that.
All right.
And the superintendent's evaluation committee, have you guys
Oh,
met?
I owe
We
you
need to
goals.
meet.
Yeah, we need to meet.
Well, it's
The
been a
la-
busy budget.
Yeah,
It's been crazy
it's been a
schedule.
lot, but our last meeting was February first,
Yeah.
I believe, right?
Yeah, so we need to meet, we'll get a time.
Baker Adams, I know Michael had an update, do you have that? At the last meeting, he had it.
Right, he was, we discussed various different portions of it, and then he was going to put it all
Revisions?
together.
He had been making the edits.
And,
Okay,
yeah.
cause that'll be just around
And I
the
think we
corner.
were gonna meet, one more time,
Yeah,
and
we
then,
were.
that's the goal, is for us to meet one more
One more
time,
time.
and then present it to the
Okay.
school committee. I know it's right around the corner, yeah, we have to,
Yes, it is.
but we're making good progress.
Yeah, good.
Yes,
mean,
I think
in
we're
terms of,
really,
you know,
we're
us-
really
I
close.
just wonder
Yeah.
if it's ever gonna be like,
No,
nothing's ever gonna be perfect, but,
nothing's ever
but,
gonna be perfect,
yeah, it's,
No.
it's,
but that's okay.
yeah, I appreciate you guys meeting, it just
We're,
seems
we're
like
trying
year
to make
after
it better,
year.
if we're making continuous improvement, that's the spirit.
Yes.
Okay, so school building,
Yeah, you know, as I said before, I didn't realize I was gonna be reporting on this, so, from memory, and there's another meeting, March the 8th is our next meeting.
That week.
Yeah,
That week is
yeah,
crazy.
school building, so,
oh yeah, and that's the National Honor Society meet,
I know.
yeah,
I know.
yeah, thing too,
uh,
that is, it
Which
is
is
a
in the
busy night.
evening as well.
Yeah, and that's.
The DECA conference is that week,
oh my
the
gosh.
spelling bee is that week.
Oh, and that's
Spelling bee is
the
that-
Gillette,
That's right, that's
the day of the
Heather's-
Gillette, right, the
Yeah.
nutrition.
I can't, I mean, I just can't do it. I'd love to, but I just can't do
I've
that.
got it in my email.
Is she going?
I don't know, I'm assuming
hope
she
she
was
does.
letting us know, but I'm guessing she is going. But but like, well, maybe not, because it sounds like it was organized for the benefit of a different audience. Food service directors probably agree with, it sounds like they were organizing it for people that might need more information.
It
I-
sounds fun though,
Yeah,
too, going out to Foxborough and,
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, does.
so another meeting on March 8th.
Another meeting on March 8th. I mean, for the high school, I recall that the review of the technology requests had been postponed, was
That's gonna
postponed.
come at the next
So that's
meeting.
gonna come at the next meeting. I had made some inquiries about the gym and the wall, that's all gonna be inspected, everything, all my
So the-
questions
the,
were
paint?
answered, and, yeah, I mean, they're
Yeah.
gonna actually look at the wall to
The
see
painters came.
why that might have happened, and, you know, make sure that it's not moisture,
peeling?
make sure that it's not something
the
that's gonna
gym?
keep happening
Okay.
over and over again.
The banners are up now.
Yeah,
Oh, the banners
Oh,
are up?
wow.
Oh, I'm dying to see it then. They did that over vacation?
Yep, and they painted that whole, you know, when you walk up to the gym, I told you the walls all needed to be painted, and that horrible purple, you know, is definitely muted now. They painted the railing going up so that it's a dark blue as opposed, you know, the problem now is the floor treads. The floors are really shiny.
Yeah, on the stairs.
The stair treads are worn. But, you know, they painted all those walls.
But can those really be a lot of money?
I don't know. I asked Mike, I said, you know, Mike, can you check on that for me? Because, you know, there's probably 4 or 5 staircases that, you know, I really would on a regular basis like to, you know, like just replace them on a cycle. Because
Right.
it really,
That takes the
it takes,
presence away from the
but you know how that is,
Oh, I'm
if you
excited to
shine
go
up the
see it.
floors, you know, then the cove base, you know, stands out, right, or, you know, the walls. So what I was gonna say, Barbie, we talked about wanting to have a little tour, remember, we had wanted to have a tour.
Oh, to update on
Updated,
that.
yeah, so we should figure out when you wanna do that, and maybe before one of our meetings or something, and we can go over, we can see the halls, we can see, the carpet in the library.
Oh, that's a
met
great
today in
idea.
Peter's
Yeah.
extra conference room, so he's proud of that, and,
How
you know,
about
so.
that hallway wall?
That isn't
I
done
know
yet,
what
but
the issue
It's not
was.
done.
that isn't done yet, but that is going to be done.
Okay.
We talked about the chorus room and how the chorus, when they sing, the noise carries to other rooms and ways.
Carries up.
Carries
Oh,
up.
really?
And so.
So they can
You're
hear
worried
them?
about, what we were worried about is the side room, the rooms beside it, but it's
Goes
the
up.
room above it.
Yeah, and
So
so
it's
there has to be
distracting
some
to the teachers?
problem solving, and
Yeah,
Mike
'cause they're
is gonna
singing.
get some kind of,
Unless
Mike is gonna put
sound.
something.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful sound,
It's
it's
just
just
not
like
just the beaver.
taking tests, you know,
Yeah, so Peter has to like move the students above when they're doing an assessment or something, if it's, you know, not
Yeah.
all scheduled right.
so the
but
architects were
Mike
supposed to
was
take a
gonna,
look at that.
yeah, put something in the pipes to try to, and Ellie, who works in Haverhill in a classroom that is above the chorus room, she said, you can make it better, but you'll never eliminate it. So we're trying to at least make it better if we can't eliminate that,
Right.
that
Oh,
issue,
that's-
so. Yeah, so then with the Pembroke school, we looked at that small little owner's contingency number, and it remains the same right now, $8,218. Looking at about 31 probably going to be added to it from
Bring it
the
up to like
shed.
40.
Yeah, and that sounded like the only money that was in all likelihood going to be added to it.
Did they do the floor again in the gym over vacation?
I believe they did,
So how'd
yes,
that come
and
out?
I,
Well,
not perfect, again, as Ellie said, not perfect, but better.
Wow.
And I asked about various different gym-related things, like the front door that slams going into
Yeah.
the gym.
Oh, yeah,
that's-
you mentioned that.
Yeah, and the clock that doesn't work, the scoreboard that was not working when I was there, was actually because, the coaches hadn't been trained or hadn't been, now they have.
Yeah. And they have a key
Understand.
too, right?
It's a
Isn't it?
charging
It's a
problem.
charging thing, yeah, you have to
Okay.
It just
follow a
wasn't
certain
charged.
procedure and, right, and then then it will work.
Yep.
And then we, you know, it's an ongoing discussion, it's gonna have to be about how we're ever gonna have any kind of seating for parents in that gym.
Mhm.
I see little stadium mats or something that could be collected or put out, I don't know.
don't know.
I think, and, you know, maybe
I
that's
mean, there are
part of a
benches
wish
there
list.
now, but the problem is they have to be carried.
Yeah, but I mean, if you
Carried
had,
out.
like, I have a stadium seat, so I went in there to watch a game, which Scott
What's a
was
stadium seat? I'm sorry.
volunteer reffing
Are those
for.
the things you
It's,
carry in?
it's a little light, cushy, it's a pillow.
And you
But it's
put it on
specifically
a
made.
chair that you bring?
I put it on the floor.
Oh, you put it on the floor.
Does it
Yeah.
have a back?
Some,
No.
Oh.
some have backs.
Some have backs.
Some have backs, yeah, but you know, just real simple, I
I've
mean,
seen
one
those.
would be
They
about
put them on like those
$12.
metal, the
Yeah,
metal.
they can put them on the metal.
Yeah.
They look scary to me. I'm always afraid it's not like safe.
Well,
Those
we're talking
backs.
about on the floor,
Yeah, I know.
right,
So
right.
you're leaning up
But I
against the
mean,
wall.
it was a lot more comfortable than just, than standing or sitting on the floor would have been. I was very glad I had my stadium seat.
Just
Oh,
an
I went
idea.
to see a game and
And
I
just
stood
an
up, I
idea.
didn't really mind it
Well,
for the duration of the game, but I did hear, we played Swampscott, and I did hear the parents in Swampscott were grumbling about it, and that's what bothers me more, I'm like, I'm fine standing up, but I just hate when I
I've
hear the
always,
visiting team.
I always thought it would be a
complain.
great fundraising effort too, to have stadium seats, you know, you could have Georgetown Royals on it, and,
Geez, you should mention that to Jill at the PTA and see if she wants to
yeah.
run something like
I
that.
bet you a lot of people, you could use it for all
Well, the
kinds of
fundraiser
sports.
that they did.
All kind, I mean,
At, what school was that, where they had to hit the target with the duck? And they raised a lot of money, they did a 50-50 with that.
Target with.
Where were we?
Oh, we were in Haverhill.
Haverhill, did a
Yeah,
great
they had the little duckies, rubber duckies,
Yeah.
and
Oh, I saw it on TV.
yeah,
It was
and,
great,
and
and
they have they put a target
on the
and
middle of
then everybody buys a duck,
A duck for a
buck, there's the
dollar.
buck, and you everybody throws the duck, and then if whoever gets the closest gets it. I think it was like a 50-50.
got a 50-50.
Right, it was in the paper or on the news, I saw that.
Forgot how much
That's
that they
interesting.
It's a
won
great
that
way
day.
to raise some
Yeah,
money,
it made
you
sense,
know?
and it was fun.
Yes,
yeah.
Yeah, we should definitely think about that for the athletic program too.
Absolutely,
You
to
know,
bring
that
in
would be
some
easy
extra
enough to
money.
do.
But in any case, for those parents who have to go in and see many basketball games within a season, who don't wanna stand for a whole season, and one game is one thing, but for a whole
Well,
season.
so when you bring that up, so is that something that is it on like the wish list that is out there or no?
Well,
Does that
they've
not
been
seem to be a big concern?
Oh, I think it's a concern, but I don't think it's on the wish list.
Okay.
Wish list.
No, I mean, I haven't exactly seen the wish list, but I think that they've been talking about some way to allow parents to be more comfortable in the Pembroke gym while they're watching basketball games than they are right now.
No,
Right.
silly question.
I don't know what that
Can
looks
people
like.
bring chairs in there if they wanted to? Like say we knew there were no chairs, can you bring a chair in there?
Well, I think
That's
we
a
should
good
ask
question.
about that, but I think there's,
Don't know.
it's wider than the
It is
old
wider
gym.
than the, Ian.
Yeah, I mean, we were just, where was I the other day? I was talking about the turf field, with the GAA guys. And I said, we need to let people know that they can bring, they should, like the camping, the chairs you bring when you go camping that don't
Right.
have any spiky things.
Yeah.
I have sent out numerous emails with a
Picture of it.
picture
Yeah,
of the ones
we're
that are
gonna-
acceptable.
But there
Right.
used to be, in the old gym, those fold-up chairs, the aluminum fold-up chairs. And if those
Oh, I
are,
don't know.
if those are still around, they used to have them stacked.
So you could go and
So
get
you
them.
could just go grab a chair, or they could be lined up before the games begin.
There is an issue with storage. I've heard numerous,
is? Okay.
grumblings
But
about.
those go on a,
Not a
No,
lot
we
of
have
storage.
those.
Not a lot of
Yes.
storage,
Remember we
no.
had them, we put them out when we had those forums.
that's right. So if you had those in the gym, and, maybe they could be set up prior to a game, there are some seats for
I'll ask
parents.
about that, Suzanne.
Oh,
That's a good-
speaking of which, it just reminded me, I was at the health and wellness meeting a while ago, and we're talking about the health and wellness fair. There are no banquet tables to set up in the gym. It doesn't sound like it would go forward because we need more people to organize it, but even if we had the people to organize it, we need banquet tables. For vendors to come and display all their,
What did we use
their
before?
goods, banquet tables.
We had, okay, so what did we do with them? We got rid of them?
Are they at Pearlie or something?
I
There's
don't
no
know.
place to
If we
put
needed
them
that,
at.
we would find that out, because
Yeah.
remember when we had the, Heidi Began
new
had her
school.
holiday
No place to
fair,
put them.
we had tons of tables.
Mhm.
So I don't know
Heidi
if people
tables
brought
were
them on their own, or,
Did they
you know,
keep the old Pembroke ones?
I don't know,
What-
that's
those
a good
long
question.
Brown
from
ones?
Pembroke? Not the round, but,
No, the long brown ones?
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you mean,
Those are the
not the,
heavy
not the
ones.
lunch tables you're talking about.
well, they used to be lunch tables.
At one time, yeah.
My prediction
And-
is they didn't save them.
They
And-
didn't save them, yeah.
And then
I
just
don't know.
back to the health and wellness meeting, Mary Beth was talking about Narcan.
Yes.
And not being able to purchase it at a reasonable price. The
No,
schools-
that's changed.
Has
I
it?
just had a Narcan meeting the other day with Mary Beth, the chief,
Good,
Peter.
good, cause I was just at Newburyport Speaking Coalition meeting and Mayor Holliday authorized the schools to buy it through the police, who can get it at a much cheaper price.
Yeah.
And
Actually,
she
the
said
police
if there's
told
any-
us we can get it at a much cheaper price.
Then
So,
they could?
yeah, I
Okay.
think there was something that came out recently from Governor Baker's office, Don
Yes,
Don
and she
Cudmore
said
had
if there's any
a
problem,
note
contact Bruce Tarr.
that basically said, that, it was gonna be about, I think it was gonna be $20 a dose but you have to buy 2 doses, because you have to be able to give it twice. So I
To
certainly.
the same person? So the same person gets 2 doses?
Well, no, you get one, but if it doesn't immediately work,
Oh,
then
then
you have to
do a
second
second
one.
one. Oh.
Yeah, and it's very easy to administer. You literally just put it in the person's nose. It's got like a syringe. There is a little bit you have to. It's not a needle or anything. It's just you have to put it together. So Mary Beth was going to put together a purchase order for it. Our plan would be to have it in the nurses' offices in all 3 buildings. Because, not that we think preschool children are gonna need to be
Well, that's
working
what I
with
said.
Narcan, but there are things that go on in that school where there are adults there, and if there was ever kind of an issue or anything, you wanna have it,
I heard an example where, I mean, you know, a parent,
Yeah,
I mean, it
yeah,
can
can
be
happen.
anybody,
But,
anybody.
yeah,
It-
so we-
Addiction doesn't discriminate.
So what I asked Mary Beth to do was to get that purchase order, and then I said, well, let's come to the school committee
Not,
and
not
talk
in
to the
this
school
district,
committee.
that's not an example from this district.
No, and let's talk to the school committee about it so they can be aware of exactly what we're doing. So, Mary Beth will come. We'll come and do something over that.
Yeah, this is the world we're living in.
It is. It is.
And we're talking about bomb threats, and we're talking about Narcan being
Yeah.
administered, yeah.
But we have some good information on that, which we're happy to share with you and then let the public know that, we're doing it. And there may be some policy implications. We may wanna take a look and see what
Right,
other,
to update
and I wanna
policies.
see if MASC is doing it, because why would every individual town wanna put together their own policy? So that may come down the road too, in governance, we wanna be talking about that too.
So how was the attendance at Health and Wellness, at the Health and Wellness Subcommittee meeting?
You know, I think there are like about 5 of us.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a small number, I think it's the time of the day too.
Well, I do, yeah, and I had mentioned to Heather, maybe we could offset it, like one meeting,
When
one
Heather's doing
time
a
be,
survey.
you know,
for-
at that 3 o'clock time or
Right.
that, and then maybe the next meeting be at, 6:30 or something.
Wasn't it Margaret who said that her teachers?
Right, it was
Right,
easier
they
for the
couldn't-
teachers.
They couldn't go.
I know, but then it's more difficult for
Yeah,
parents.
but I
so
think
it's
the
like-
alternating is an interest, I think they used to do that years ago, I think they'd have some, when you were.
Well,
when you
I
were-
just remember when I was on it in the very beginning, like a long time ago, there was consistently 12 to 15 people there.
Yeah, which is
It was,
great.
and I don't think that that it's not on people's minds, I think people know how important it is, I just think people are so busy.
They are,
Yeah.
people are.
And
very
you have to
Yeah.
pick and choose, like, okay, if I do this.
Yeah, people are
But,
very.
and Heather was also talking about doing a survey, of the Pembroke students about their lunch preferences and ideas that they might have, and, so that
That's
was-
good.
Yeah, a monkey survey, that would be done through, the technology classes, and
Oh,
that's in
good.
process.
So she's working with Mary Ann Fravel on that, doing that?
I believe so.
That's good.
Yeah, I talked to Heather about that, and I said, I think it's time to do another survey, because we did one several years ago, and we got some good information. Obviously, the littlest ones, if you wanna get the kids, you're gonna have to go talk to them, but they're pretty articulate, they know what they like and don't like. But I'd like it that Heather's is meeting with kids, so that's a good thing, we're
great,
trying to
yeah.
get that going,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Okay, that's good. And CPAC.
And
CPAC, there is a meeting on March 15th, from 9 to 10 a.m. at Pembroke. It's an open question and answer with Dr. Donna Straight is gonna be there, along with, I'm sure, some other faculty members and parents.
What was the date, Pam, I'm sorry?
March 15th,
Okay.
from 9 to 10. And, all parents are invited, and,
Okay, and we have,
whatever they'd like.
and we have CPAC coming, and we have.
That was
Canceled a couple times.
Yeah,
It has
so
been
we-
canceled a few times.
So we have March 24th, it's annual CPAC report, so I'm
Great, well, that's good, I'm looking forward to that, because I haven't, had an opportunity to see Shelby in a while,
Right.
so that would be nice to do.
Right, there was not a meeting this month.
Yeah, March 24th meeting, yeah. Okay, thank you for that update. It looks to me like the agenda has been complete. Okay, so, at this time, I will make a motion to end the school committee meeting this evening at 9:17. There is no reason to go into executive session tonight, so we will, be having,
Oh,
Executive
Are we?
session.
here, I'm not even listening.
I didn't know that.
Yes, we talked about the need to talk
It was
about,
in the orange notes.
it was
Yeah.
in the orange notes.
for,
In the beginning?
Yes, it's at the end.
personnel at the end.
It's right
Nope.
here.
Oh, we will need a brief
Oh, yeah,
executive
I
session.
wrote it.
Yes, right there.
Yes, and it was, let me just see. what-
Personal matter and legal.
It's a
update.
it's a personnel, for purposes of personnel and potential litigation.
Okay,
Two
so,
reasons for us to meet quickly.
so would that be 30A, section 21, paragraph 3? Okay. So at this time, we will end the open school committee meeting at, the clock changed, at 9:17, 9:15 PM. We will go into executive session under chapter 38, section 21, paragraph 3, for the purpose of a personnel matter, possible litigation, and a litigation update, and we will not be returning to open session. So at this point in time, I will take a roll call vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Great, thank you, and we will see you on March 2nd to have a budget meeting. We hope you will join in. Thank you.